I'm David Scandura.
I'm Justus Burkett.
And today we're here to find out, is A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors the greatest movie ever made? Bitch.
What's wrong, Joey? Feeling tongue-tied?
We do have fun. Welcome to the greatest movie ever made. The show where we watch a movie and tell you if it's the greatest movie ever made.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Well, what is that?
Movie-
A 15-second drop on that? I was wondering. It was just a matter of time still.
You have to rip the Band-Aid off right away. I think I said that last week when we were announcing what the episode was gonna be. So it really preempted even the episode coming out.
There's a lot of good lines in this movie. Let's kick this motherfucker's ass all over Dreamland.
And of course,
but it's
Krueger,
really
pussy.
We no rush.
The one is really "Welcome to Primetime, bitch."
Yeah,
That's like the definitive line of the series, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Right, not too dissimilar from the Monster Squad, our episode with Tony last year. There's lots of memorable quotes in the Monster Squad, but really everybody is thinking. You say the Monster Squad, and everyone's thinking about Wolfman Scott Nards.
A movie that is so thoroughly entertaining and compelling that while you're watching it, it's the only thing that matters in the world. I'm David Scandura, joined as always by my co-host and my fellow Dream Warrior, Justus Burkett.
Yes, and we have another Dream Warrior with us. We're thrilled to welcome back for the third consecutive horror-thon, Tony Moschetti. You're now actually, I was gonna say you're now the guest who's been on the podcast the most times. I think you already were, because I think every other guest has only been on once.
Yeah, I'm the only one who has so little else to do that you can know every year in October he's gonna be free. You're
also just the one that we've pigeonholed into a recurring slot in our programming. We're like, well, it's October, so let's ask Tony to be back.
That's right. Horrorthon 3, Threeson of the Witch. We are back again.
The reason of the David, how did we not think of that?
Well, I was also thinking what we could have done is just, whatever the subtitle is for each horrorthon, just add dipshit in there, because that's kind of part of our branding.
Right, yeah.
So it could have been Season of the Dipshit.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that far ahead.
Threeson of the Dipshit. Just over-engineer the joke.
Yeah, you are our first repeat and now three-peat guest, which is kind of fucked up and unfair to our other guests. But I could also say, other guests, maybe step your fucking game up.
If you want to be on the show, just tell us you want to be on the show. Maybe that's why they're not, is because they don't.
Yeah, you guys gotta be like I do and be messaging them in August, being like, "Hey guys, what's it gonna be this year? Huh? I'm available."
No, it's because I'm just bad at following up with them, and I'll ask and then forget about it.
Yeah, and I'm even worse than David because he's bad at following up, but I don't do any of that shit at all. He's applying 300% more effort than I am.
So is this when I'm corresponding with the Instagram pages, DMs, trying to figure out who I'm talking to, gauging by the professionalism of the response, who's logged in right now.
It's pretty much always David.
Yeah.
If you get a monosyllabic response, that was probably me. If you get a yep, if you get a thumbs up react, that's me. Yeah.
If I get 3 dots and then nothing is sent for another 5 days,
Yeah, it's so awesome that I handle bookings at a theater now. People reaching out to me being like, "Hey, I really want to do something in your theater," and 2 weeks later, I'm like, "Hey, sorry, just saw this."
They just want to play their punk shows, and you're just
yeah. Well, you know what's not very punk?
Not
timely responses.
Right, I was gonna say, yeah, punk fans are notorious
it's
for
okay.
being on, ready.
That's true.
We talked a little bit off pod up at the top, but Tony, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. You had we were talking about kind of ups and downs this year since the last time we talked, but it's I've watched some good stuff lately. I've been I have a good class this year that I'm teaching theater with. You know, some really excited elementary school kids who are interested in the arts, which is always fun. Like to see that enthusiasm happen at a young age.
Yeah.
And I'm just super stoked to talk about my favorite threequel, Maniac Cop 3: Badge of Silence.
Maniac Cop mentioned. Maniac Cop mentioned.
Ooh,
The wrong arm of the law is back.
bad news, Tony. I think you might have watched the wrong movie.
I took notes and everything.
Did
What?
the Freddy Krueger impressions up top not tip you off? Is Freddy
that was a
Krueger in
Robert
Maniac
Zadar
Cop?
impression.
Oh, okay. All right. No, now I know Freddy already versus Jason, famously. I was talking to my little brother about like other horror franchises that should cross over. I think I might have. No, I'm. Did I have this conversation with you too, David? Recently,
We did this on the podcast, Justus.
okay. I also was doing it with Duncan too, so I could.
It was recorded. Yes. Okay. You were talking.
Sorry,
to
I
Duncan
say
about
a lot of shit, but yeah, just another one that occurred to me is like, why don't we get the Maniac Cop in the mix?
who would Maniac Cop fight?
I don't know. I feel like it would have to be another type of either like, basically another type of like
It'd be like
horror
Dr.
fascist.
Giggles or something,
Right.
with a dentist, like
Yeah.
an occupation or something. But
Yeah.
like horror fascist. Okay.
Yeah, well, because I was like, well, like a cop versus if there's some kind of horror military guy, like that Uncle Sam movie. That guy's like an undead soldier, right?
Oh,
We could do
Or
like
the Prowler, the guy from the
Yeah.
Prowler.
Yeah.
yeah, there it is.
I was just thinking Maniac Cop versus Puppet Master, and he's like, and he's like throwing the puppets off of him.
Yeah, right. And then you have cop versus neo-Nazis, right? That's where the Puppet Master
Yeah,
franchise famously goes. Yeah.
Is there anything that you've seen recently that you want to recommend, Tony?
Yeah, non-horror stuff. I watched the Peacemaker TV show, which I didn't expect to like so much because I'm not a DC guy by any means, and I long ago got comic book fatigue. But I watched both seasons of that, and it's actually really good. I don't know if you guys have dipped your toe into that at all. But John Cena was surprisingly great in that. Yesterday was my son's 4th birthday, so we went to see the Gabby's Dollhouse movie. Less enthusiastic about that, I'd say, like softer recommend. You have to be really into the Gabby's Dollhouse lore to catch up with it, which it's always tough with these world building things, these universes. Horror wise, I've been just cruising through Tubi a lot lately. I did see, what was it called, Night Killer, which is by Claudio Fragasso, who's the same guy who did Troll 2, the like infamously bad movie, which is another pretty fun one. Like it's not a must see like Troll 2, but it is very goofy. There's some very questionable psychology involved with it, as far as like this woman getting amnesia and what they do to her in order to like have her come out of that amnesia, is I would say not in a lot of peer-reviewed journals. Also, not that many night kills in that movie for it to be called Night Killer. He does a lot of afternoon killing.
But afternoon kill
doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, 5:30 p.m. killing. No.
Tea time killer.
Right. Yeah. Dusk, sort of like approaching dusk. Sweet.
Justus, how are you doing?
Yes. I'm doing pretty good. I don't have a ton that is new or interesting to report, but in terms of media recommendations, I have been putting together my Halloween 2025 playlist. This has become kind of like a little bit of a seasonal ritual to me. Is I start really early building out the playlist that me and David and the Podmaster will listen to when we sit on the porch and pass out candy on the 31st.
Hell yeah.
And a lot of work goes into this playlist for me. Last year it was like a lot of stuff from like movie soundtracks. This year I'm kind of going a different direction and featuring more songs that are like featured prominently in horror movies but aren't parts of original like horror movie scores. And to kind of flesh that out, I've also been like adding like a little bit of like horror movie score in between, but just like stuff that I didn't use last year. And John Carpenter and his son Cody and Daniel Davies have like a new album of like all of the music from the 3 David Gordon Green Halloween movies, and
Mm.
the scores are like easily the best thing about those movies.
Oh yeah.
um so my media recommendation is the John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel Davies album Halloween Original Motion Picture Soundtrack Expanded Edition, and it's like 2.5 hours of just all the music from the David Gordon Green movies, and like they've also like stitched a lot of the shorter tracks together into like larger compositions, and it's like the perfect Halloween ambiance. So if you're just like studying, you're like knocking out some work or whatever, and you just want like spooky vibes, just like throw that thing on, and it's like perfect background noise for the season.
I love that Carpenter at this point is like, write me a check, you do whatever you want with the characters, and I get to like hop up with my Casio again. That's all I
Yeah.
want to do right now with my time.
Yeah.
Smoke weed, play video games, and I'll bust out a 6 synth whenever I feel like it.
Yeah, and
Let
he's
me
like
play my synth and do my old man dance.
and like me and my metalhead son and his cool friend are like gonna hang out in the recording studio all day and like smoke weed and play video games and just like lay down nasty riffs over like my synth scores that I wrote 50 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, seems like that guy is living truly like the best life imaginable.
Right.
Like really my lifestyle icon is John Carpenter, where like every once in a while someone calls me up for an interview about like whatever new thing they're making based on the thing that I made forever ago, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like I don't watch any of this stuff. If you need to license my name and pay me $1 million, feel free. David, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Enjoying the fall weather. We got some rain. I went on a walk in the rain yesterday, and that was nice.
Yeah.
As far as stuff to recommend, I watched Predator Killer of Killers, which is the animated Predator anthology movie that premiered on Hulu earlier this year. And I guess a lot of people are kind of mid on it. Like, they weren't really impressed. I think it whipped ass, and it's probably my second favorite Predator movie. I was so into it. And I'm fully on board with this Dan Trachtenberg era of Predator. I'm now really excited for Predator Badlands. Obviously, like I thought Prey was really, really good. I haven't gone back to it, but I liked Killer of Killers even more, and it felt like it was a great extension of what he was doing in Prey. So yeah, man, like I feel like it's not a great time to be an Alien fan. Conversely, great time to be a Predator fan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Predator
Although
fans stay winning.
I haven't finished Alien Earth yet.
Kind of tapped out of Alien a few movies ago. I tried Alien Romulus, and that was pretty good. But yeah, Predator. I love that it's just doing Assassin's Creed now fully. It's just like, what if a Predator was in this era with these weapons? And it's like, absolutely, like just give me one of these a week. Like it doesn't need to be a movie. I don't need to go see it in theaters. Like this is the perfect like straight to streaming kind of content to me.
I think we all collectively agreed a few years ago that that's the best way to do Predator. And now the studio has finally kind of caught up to that and been like, nah, they were right. Like, I think this is the way to go.
Right. You just throw a Yautja into any imaginable scenario and there's a movie.
I was thinking up ones while I was watching it where I was like, okay, so like Victorian London.
Like Jack
like
the
Predator,
Ripper is like roaming the streets, and then
Predator's
there's also a Predator. Or
Yeah,
Predator
just a
is
top
hunting
hat.
Jack the Ripper, right?
Yeah.
Because the Predator wants a worthy opponent, and he's like, well, this guy's killing a bunch of people. He's clearly a hunter himself, you know?
Fucking Peloponnesian War, throw him in there with the 300 Spartans. Like,
I was thinking like maybe in ancient Rome, the Romans somehow capture a predator and bring him back to the Colosseum and have him as a beast to fight in the Colosseum.
I think that someone should give you $50 million just like right now. I was just thinking, you know, what would be funny is like there's all those like really horrible like sea shipwreck stories at sea where like some people survive on an island or something and they all end up eating each other. Just do one of those and then a predator shows up. Like all these guys like on an island trying to survive, you know? And then it's just like, oh, and also there's a predator, you know?
So I was gonna say that's kind of what happens in the Killer of Killers movie, because
Nice.
it's like it's Vikings, and then it's samurai, and then the last one is World War II pilots, where it's like there's 15 minutes of some other conflict going on, and then the predator shows up in all of the stories. Then it's like, okay, now we have 10 minutes left where now they're fighting the predator.
I was just wondering how the predator would fare against the antagonist of this film, one Freddy Krueger, because I'm like, I don't know if the predators dream in the same way that we do, but assuming that they do, it's like once you're in the dream world with Freddy, it's like ultimately what we've learned through at least three of these movies. I've only seen the three of these. I've seen the first one, the second one, and the third one. And so far I have not seen anything that indicates that you can possibly get the upper hand over Freddy Krueger in the dream world.
Well,
Like
since
he
that's
just
actually
he
Go
could
ahead.
just bend reality in any way that he wants. It seems like he is basically omnipotent in the dream world, right?
Well, I actually have a note about that, and so I feel like we'll probably get into it more later. But like, I feel like this movie shows us, and it shows up in some of the other Nightmare movies too, where like it is true, but I think Freddy also kind of just likes to scrap a little bit because
Yeah.
like there's a lot of times in this movie where he could, there's no reason why he couldn't just make the walls close in on them again, but instead he's like, I'm gonna fight this girl for a second.
Yes.
she's got a knife. I kind of just want to see.
He just wants to throw
Yeah.
down. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
think he
I
kinda
think
likes
at
to
the
fight.
end, when he kills Nancy,
Mhm.
then Patricia Arquette runs at him,
Mhm.
and he could just hit her with the claw, but he picks her up and throws her. And it's like this guy he's just there to have fun.
Yeah.
He's just playing with his food.
The
Right.
process is part of it, right? Respect the process. You
When
know?
they're saving Joey, and like Patricia Arquette comes in with the full like Liu Kang like drop kick, like missile drop kick from across there, and knocks him down. Like,
That's so fucking
and they
funny.
like hop up to fight a little bit. Freddy does a little kip up, like he does like the flip to get up. And I was like, that's who's that for, Freddy? You just wanted them to know you could do that. Like,
I think this movie, a thing that I definitely wrote down is that this movie has seen Evil Dead. But in addition to having seen Evil Dead, I also think that this movie has played Street Fighter. Like there are multiple moments in this movie where I was like, okay, we're just like sort of doing kung fu for a second here. Like, and it's not like a lot, but there are enough moments where I'm like, okay, it's the 80s. We have fighting games, you know. Somebody involved in the production of this has played a Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet. Like, I just know that's happening.
not just that
I
they've
do
seen
think-
Evil Dead, but they've also clearly seen Army of Darkness too, based on the fucking ending of this movie.
Yeah. I do think this movie is kind of the 80s personified. Like everything that you could possibly throw into a classic 80s horror movie, this movie has it. It has the gore, it has the variety of special effects, it has the hair metal song, like it has a D&D reference.
Oh, sorry. I don't know anything about D&D. You must be talking about Wizard Master.
Wizard Master.
Wizard, like Dungeons and Dragons, you know, like especially in the 80s, like that's nerd shit. You give an atomic wedgie to the kid playing D&D in 1987. I feel like the kid playing Wizard Master is the one who's like getting a wedgie from the D&D kids. Like this is like sub Magic the Gathering nerd shit. It's like this is the nerd that the other nerds are like, oh, that guy, you know, he just never shuts the fuck
Yeah,
up about this Wizard Master shit.
He's too poor to afford the full D&D set in
Yeah.
the rule book. So his mom bought him Wizard
The
Master for
Kmart Wizard,
Christmas.
Kmart Dungeons and Dragons. we got D&D at home.
Yeah. The D&D kids are like, Wizard Master, you know, that's a little too dense. You know, the lore book is like, I ain't reading all that. They're using dice with like 40
Yeah.
sides.
But
It's
yeah,
like...
why are all of your dice prime numbers? I don't.
Yeah. The nerd kid, what's his name?
Will.
He is one of multiple areas where this movie improved for me on rewatch. Because the first time I watched this movie, I remembered being like, I kind of hate nerd kid. I'm sort of happy when he dies. And then watching it this time, I was like, there are a lot of things in this movie that I feel like have shifted for me between watch 1 and watch 2. And one of them is like, I was like, okay, Will actually kind of rules, you know? I like that he's like the 80s archetype of like the smart kid who is like the least physically capable. And in his case, it's because he has been left disabled by a dream related accident.
Well,
Right.
I'm sure we'll get into it in a second, but like, yeah, I think that the first time I watched this, the memories I have with this were mostly just being like, oh, cool, awesome, bad, like, you know, fun scenes or whatever. But when I was watching it through for this, like, I really connected with the characters a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids, I honestly like felt did a pretty good job. But
yeah, I sort of forgot,
I think
like how well fleshed out all that stuff is. Sorry, go ahead, David.
I was gonna say, I think I'm glad that we're all kind of in agreement that we like this movie, and also that we're trending upward in terms of the quality of films that we're talking about for the horror-thon.
Yes. I do
We
think
were like really deep in the dregs with Conjuring 3, and then
Yeah.
we came out a bit with Scream 3.
was that a
Yeah.
conscious choice that like we're gonna get Conjuring out of the way? Kinda
not
thing?
really. I think that's just kind of the way that things worked out scheduling wise. But like also like it does feel like this is mirroring the trajectory of the films during Shaky Cam Summer Camp, a theme month that was famously very normal and in which nothing weird happened.
Yeah.
And but like in that theme month, like it seemed like each movie kind of was like a degree of quality better than the last one. And I feel like we're sort of set up for kind of the same situation with this month. Especially knowing the last 2 films that we have to cover. I think we're ascending. Yeah. I was surprised by how much I like this movie this time, but you know, more on that later. Because the first time I watched this movie, I was like a little tepid on it, and I've only seen it the one other time. And like I said, I've seen 1 and 2, but that's the extent of my Nightmare on Elm Street. As that's as far as I've gone into the franchise. This one's never been like the main franchise for me. Although after this watch, I think I am going to continue. I do have 4 on DVD in the same like box set there, or not box set, just like one of those like clamshells that has 2 discs in it with 2 movies on each disc.
Yeah.
But I'll probably keep watching after this viewing of this one.
4, 5, and 6 are a pretty stiff drop off it. I don't know if you feel the same, David, or if you've seen them, but after this, like I think that you can honestly just watch Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and I feel like you'd be pretty sad for the series.
Fair enough.
Don't touch the remake. The remake fucking sucks ass.
The remake was the first one I'd ever seen back in college. And it was only until recently that I watched the rest of the movies. I rewatched it for this recording. That remake is rough. That remake is a piece of shit. It's one of our worst horror remakes out there.
I would say, I know you guys have talked before about like evil films. That one seems pretty close to like an evil kind of film. Like it's really nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they like lean very heavily into like the child sexual predator angle with Freddy Krueger, right? That's what I've heard. I've never seen that movie, but I've heard that they're like kind of in over their heads with the stuff that they try and tackle thematically, and it's handled quite poorly.
Yeah, it's real bad.
Yeah.
But Tony, talk a little bit more about your history with this franchise and this movie.
This one is definitely not one of my top ones either, to be honest. I'm much more like a run-of-the-mill like guy in a mask slasher stuff. Halloween and Scream are kind of my top 2, but I love all the Fridays. I don't love all the Fridays. I've seen all the Fridays, and I have connections to a couple of them, but this one of the series like is definitely one that I always really enjoyed. First one was okay. I thought it was pretty good. Obviously, everyone does. And then every time I tried to watch one of the other ones, it was kind of mid. But this one I always thought was really creative and really interesting, and I wish like this had been the tone that they kept for the rest of the series. But yeah, I mean, Freddy's never really been my guy, to be honest. But I feel like they hit like such a perfect balance in this one of like what Freddy's supposed to be, between like the humor and the nastiness. And they always overcorrect in one way or the other in the other films. But this is like, to me, just has the perfect vibe of like a VHS movie that you watch like when you're not supposed to, kind of like when your parents are asleep. Like it's got this kind of the spookiness to it that I feel like a lot of slashers are. They have like a certain edge or brutality too, but like this one is kind of spooky still in a way that I
Yeah.
think is a really good like um sleepover kind of movie.
Yeah. This is also like a great movie like for the Halloween season for that reason, because it's like as, I'm a huge horror fan, as I know both of you are as well. So like I watch horror movies all year round, but there are like types of horror movies that I prefer to watch around Halloween, and those are the ones that like maybe do trend a little bit like campier, but you have that kind of like spooky like haunted house aesthetic, right? And
Right.
that shows up in a lot of those campier movies, especially from the 80s, that just feels like so perfect for like this time of the year. Like Halloween spooky is definitely a type of category that like horror movies can fall into, but like not all of them are like that. And I completely agree with that, Tony. And like it was actually reminding me a little bit on this watch, I was like, you know what movie this feels like to me is, it kind of feels like Poltergeist, which is another 80s horror movie that has like some kind of darker stuff going on, but also is a little more comedic and a little bit more like family friendly. Like this movie's still rated R, but I feel like you could show Dream Warriors to like a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and it wouldn't ruin their life, you know? And same thing with Poltergeist. Like this kind of feels to me like it's a really good like first horror movie for somebody.
I think it's also still dark enough at this point in the series that like that 13-year-old kid might be freaked out by a couple of things in this movie. Whereas as you get into 4, 5, and 6, they're just kind of cartoonish, and have lost a lot of the edge that the series had.
Yeah, there's a couple
Um,
things in this movie that even I was kind of skeeved out by this time, and I was like a little surprised by that because I didn't really remember this. I remembered this one mostly being silly, and then there was a couple moments where I was like, "Oh yeah, that actually kind of hits."
I've been thinking about literally that type of vibe a lot lately because my daughter is turned 12, and she got really into like the Wednesday TV show, and then from there went to Stranger Things, and so she's been like exploring horror a little bit. Like that's all that most of that stuff is like still kind of tame. There's some violence and stuff, but like she's been asking like about horror movies and stuff, and if she can watch some other ones. And I've been trying to find some good ones to start her off that like my wife is not going to be like, "What did you do to her?" Why? So I think that I was thinking about showing her this one, but I was worried about some of the, like you said, some of the content is like 12's still a little young. Like let's throw on Megan or something first.
Right. Yeah, something that's like actually rated PG-13
Right,
and
yeah.
doesn't have someone being puppeteered by their own veins. You know what I love seeing? The OG New Line logo. The one that's in front of like Lord of the Rings with like the film strips, like that one is I'm always like, okay, that's the New Line logo that I grew up with. I have a certain attachment to that. But the old school one, that like the red flickering one, I'm always like, that's the Freddy Krueger logo to me. Like as soon as I see that in front of a movie, I'm like, okay, so this is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, because that's the only things that had any
yeah,
staying power that they were releasing at the time.
yeah. The new line logo is like more prestige, and then you watch the old movies, and it's like, no, this is the house that Freddy built.
Yeah.
Uh, we're in Slop Town right now, everybody.
Yeah. But what I don't like is that the subtitle Dream Warriors on this one, because you get title card Nightmare on Elm Street, it's the classic font, like they have like their copyrighted logo. And then beneath it, there's the subtitle that says Dream Warriors. And I know that Microsoft clip art wasn't invented in 1987, but I think they used the subtitle Dream Warriors title card from this movie as an inspiration for what to do for word art. It's pretty egregious, although not as bad as the title card in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which literally looks like it's like a fan film.
Pretty misleading poster for this movie too, and like the cover art for it. I remember like always seeing this at like the video store when I was growing up, and like seeing the dude with like a baseball bat and the dude with like a mace. And
Yeah,
I was like,
right.
oh shit, these guys are like they're gonna fight Freddy. And that just
Nobody uses that mace in this movie, right?
no, there's not just like a white guy with a mace walking around in this movie.
Yeah. And although on the poster we do have the punk chick. She has a totally different outfit, but we do have the punk chick with her 2 knives, which I appreciate.
The posters for the Nightmare movies are some of the best of this era. The one for 2 looks a little weird, but otherwise I really like the illustrated posters for I think 1 through 5 are all really cool.
I like that the bird is featured on the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 poster, but it looks like this really sinister, like huge black crow. And then when the bird attack actually happens in the movie, it's like a tiny little parakeet. Yeah, no, good posters. And so like when we like get rolling in this movie, we are introduced to Patricia Arquette right away. Like the opening scene is her like trying to stay awake because obviously some Freddying has been going on already. And like it's very funny to me that like one of the first things you see Patricia Arquette do is she dry scoops like instant coffee and washes it down with soda. Which I don't know. Because David, you're aware of the reputation of dry scooping, like in the lifting community, right?
Sure.
Yeah, it was just making me think like, oh, like Patricia Arquette is on her Sigma grind set, like she's gonna go fucking pump some iron, you know, and then like trade crypto or whatever, because like the most like toxic dude bros on social media, like this is how they take their pre-workout, and it's like. It's just performative. It's like, oh yeah, let me do this without water just to show how hard I am.
Water's for pussies, like
right, and record it with my front-facing camera. Yeah,
it does suck that these movies were made before the advent of 5-Hour Energy and Monster Energy drinks, because these kids would have no problem staying awake with that shit.
Yeah, they wouldn't have to resort to burning themselves with cigarettes.
Which we'll get to it when we get to it, but bad strategy. She literally has a book of matches in her bag. They let her keep the matches, but not the cigarette. Like, burn yourself with the matches, smoke the cigarette, so you can get the nicotine, the stimulant in your system, and then burn yourself with matches. You have so many more.
The solutions that people come up with to stay awake in Nightmare on Elm Street movies always feel a little like half-baked to me. Like it's always, in so many of them, it's like, okay, I'm going to lay down and turn on the TV. And I'm like, that is the worst possible thing to do when you don't want to go to sleep. Like get up and fucking do some dishes or something.
Put a blanket over my legs and like and turn on the most boring like whatever news interview.
It's so bad in the remake. People are falling asleep every 5 minutes in that fucking movie. There's a point where they pull up to like a convenience store to get more pills to stay awake. And Nancy stays in the car and falls asleep in the car. And I'm like, fucking get out of the car and take a walk. Like, what are you doing?
Right. Like, move your legs. Stop sitting in motionless. I don't know, man. Like, fucking jog in place, run around the building or something. Like, it's so much easier to stay awake if you're not just like, yeah, watching nature documentaries. It's like, oh yeah, I know what'll keep me awake. David Attenborough. Like,
right. We watched Dick Cavett interview Zsa Zsa Gabor. And...
I forgot Zsa Zsa Gabor has a cameo in this movie. When her name came up in the opening credits, I was like, the 80s were an incredible time. When Zsa Zsa Gabor would show up in the fucking third entry in your horror franchise.
And according to the Wikipedia, like she seemed like she didn't really know what she had signed up for as well. Like
I believe that.
Did you guys read that too? She just like was just happy to be asked to be in something, and so she got there, and then Robert Englund pops out with knives, and she was truly like, "Whoa!"
It's like calling her bitch or whatever. Robert Englund got to share the screen with Zsa Zsa Gabor. Probably a big day for that guy. I always wonder about Robert Englund, the man, you know, because it's like he's one of those guys where it's like he's kind of embraced just being known for the one thing, you know, and like he's leaned into it, right? He's one of those guys. It's like he's at all the fan conventions. He makes his social media presence basically just about being Freddy Krueger, and I'm like, Is there like an actor in there who's like kind of sad and unfulfilled, or does he like is he really walking the walk? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Like
or
he
is
never
he
got
like
he, he
right?
never
Yeah,
got to do his King Lear
yeah, right.
because he was Freddy Krueger all these years.
Yeah, that's what I always wonder with him, and like I hope it's the latter. I hope he's truly happy about it, you know. But I'm always like, I wonder with these guys where it's like, okay, time to put on this fucking rubber mask and the knife glove again, and you
I
know,
Oh, cool! Another
I
music
think
video.
so.
Awesome.
yeah, gotta
I don't
clock into
know.
the Freddy Krueger factory.
It seems like he's always having fun. It's like
Yeah,
consummate professional.
he's certainly having
Um,
fun in this one.
yeah. So like I don't know. It seems like he's embraced it wholeheartedly.
I mean, it's
Um,
put food on his table for what, 4 decades now. Like,
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like
true.
you can't really turn your nose up at a certain point.
That's true. Even though you're just the guy who's the most famous cinematic child murderer. Yeah, so in this opening sequence, like Patricia Arquette eventually dozes off, and she starts having a scary dream, as you're wont to do in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. We get the scary jump roping children with their creepy little schoolyard rhyme, which is of course a staple of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I've only seen the first three, but this is featured heavily in all three of the first three movies. So I'm like, I assume this continues being a thing. We have to have creepy kids jump roping and singing in slow motion or whatever.
yeah. It's one of the things that like parodies on The Simpsons or I don't know. Rick and Morty did a whole Nightmare on Elm Street parody in the first season. It's one of the things that they latch onto a lot is the rhyme and the kids.
Yeah, my take on this is that I actually kind of don't love it. It's like the it, the in the 80s, creepy kids jump roping and doing a little rhyme probably didn't feel as like derivative and trite as it does now. But just watching this now, I'm like, fucking the reason that we have slow down versions of like creepy little nursery songs in every horror trailer, or like the reason that every fucking like Blumhouse movie has a haunted little music box with an eerie little tune, is because of this. Like I sort of feel like Wes Craven in the first one kind of created one of the worst horror tropes that just won't die.
It's because in the 80s, the scariest thing they could think of was having to hang out with your kids while they played.
You're telling me that I have to like be around?
Just go
Like-
outside and kick a ball for like 8 hours. All right.
I don't know, ride your bikes around the neighborhood with your little friends.
All right. Go find that clown
Yeah.
in the sewers. I don't give a shit. Man. Get out of
Well,
the house.
Speaking of another staple of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, deadbeat parents.
Yes.
And
We
we got two of them in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got Patricia Arquette's mother, and then we have John Saxon at the end. And they're both just choice grade A deadbeat pieces of shit in this.
Yeah, I was really happy to see kind of in my opinion, one of the best things about the first movie, which is just that all the adults suck shit. I was very happy to see that come back in a big way with this first scene with Patricia Arquette's mom, because she's like, oh, like, go to bed. And she's like, Mom, I've been having these weird dreams. And she's like, I don't give a shit. I got a guy waiting downstairs. He's gonna leave if I don't go blow him in fucking 10 minutes. I can't be dealing with your shit. You're a teenager, like, figure it out. I don't know. Mommy's got a date. I was like, all right, okay, cool. This is truly like a Nightmare on Elm Street 1. Mom's got a bottle of vodka in the towel closet type of bad parenting.
Every authority figure in this movie sucks so much ass. Like,
Yeah.
this is the worst mental health institution I've ever seen, and which we'll get there soon. I'll save it, but
Yeah. When Patricia Arquette has this bad dream, she starts getting like chased through the spooky set by Freddy, and she's like found like a little girl in the boiler room. And the little girl is like being very eerie and creepy. She's like, "This is where he takes us. He's coming." And she picks up this little girl and starts like running with her. And all of these shots of Patricia Arquette just running through this like haunted house set with this obvious dummy were Very funny to me. There's one moment where she even like runs the legs of the dummy into something as she's running past. And you can kind of see the dummy kind of wobble in a way where it's like very clearly not a body. But then that comes full circle because the next time the little girl in her arms talks, Patricia Arquette screams, and then the camera cuts to baby skeleton, which huge points for me. And this is the point in this second watch for me, where I was like, oh, is Dream Warriors gonna hit way better for me this time than it did last time?
Yeah, this opening really leans into the darker imagery with there's bones and skulls in the boiler. She turns a corner and one of the rooms is full of kids swinging from nooses, which is super fucked up.
Yeah.
I love this opening sequence. I love when the kid turns into a skeleton. It's really, really fun.
The trivia I read too was that originally the director had asked not for a skeleton but for like just a corpse of a child, and he told the designers to base it off of like photos from concentration camps, like German concentration camps, like emaciated like children. He's like, those will be some really horrible imagery like that. This could be really, really disturbing. And then they did it, and they did too good of a job. And he saw it, and he's like, I don't want to see this anymore. Put it. No, I don't want to do it. We're doing a skeleton.
I mean, ultimately, probably good choice.
Yeah,
because
pretty rough.
Yeah. The like campiness of the skeleton is like exactly what you want, right? It's a little spooky, but it's not too much. That's fucking wild that he
too
was
real.
Like, hey,
too real,
like,
guys.
Here's some photos of actual atrocities that I would like you to recreate.
But eventually, she ends up in the bathroom with her wrists slit. Because we have Freddy appearing to her in the mirror, and I like the valve on the sink growing little claws and reaching up and like slashing her wrists. And she ends up in Weston Hills Psychiatric Hospital, which is where we spend most of the movie.
Yeah,
which is a great concept. I think this is a really just a cool setup for this movie. That we're in this mental hospital with all these kids who are suffering various things, and they're all linked because of their nightmares of Freddy. I think it's a cool direction for this third movie to take, and I think it does a pretty good job at accomplishing it.
Yeah, I think they do a pretty good job of making this like group kind of scene lived in already. Like they introduce really quickly, like this is everybody's thing, like this is the thing that's gonna like come up later, but like also they like seem comfortable with each other already. You can kind of see what the group dynamics are and stuff pretty well.
Yeah, and we have another, in addition to Patricia Arquette, there's another like person who's like too famous for this movie in this movie, but he wasn't at the time, which is Laurence Fishburne as like one of the main orderlies in this like psych ward. And let me just say, like, Laurence Fishburne rocks in this movie. He rocks in everything. Welcome back to the show, Laurence Fishburne, by the way. But like David, in John Wick 3, you were talking about how like Laurence Fishburne kind of is always a highlight of any movie he's in, because he's been in good movies and bad movies, and even when you see him in a bad movie, you're like, well, thank God Laurence Fishburne is here, because at least this is going to be something that this movie has going for it. And this isn't a bad movie, but like him showing up in this movie, I was like, oh fuck, like I forgot that he's already great in this. Like he's very young in 87. He also looks fantastic in this movie. Anytime he was on screen, I was like, he looks
so hot,
good as hell.
Yeah. I think the only like major thing he'd done before this was Cowboy Curtis from the Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah.
And so this was like a hard right turn, and I love that. Yeah, I love that he's not. He's just a guy who's here as well. Like he's not a main thing, but he kicks ass, and he's so sexy, and like he's in really nailing like what could be such a throwaway part.
Yeah, I like his little dynamic with Kincaid, that the movie like kind of goes out of its way to show that like Laurence Fishburne, his character's Max, right? He kind of has like a good relationship with all the kids in the ward. He's sort of like he's kind of a friendly and approachable orderly who will like shoot the shit with you. He clearly cares about these kids, but he clearly has kind of like a special dynamic with Kincaid, who's like the one black patient, right? And I just like that the movie goes out of its way to show that Max is kind of like actively like checking in with him and looking out for him a little bit extra, right?
Right.
Just because it's like you get that he cares and that like he sees this kid and is like, oh, I kind of have to like look after him and make sure that he's doing all right, you know. And I like that you see Kincaid kind of like simultaneously like is happy about that, but also like in a typical teenager fashion is like, all right, thanks dad, like.
Yeah, this is early in his career, but he's already done Apocalypse Now.
Oh
He's
shit.
done 2 other movies with Coppola. He did Rumblefish and Cotton Club, and then Color Purple with Steven Spielberg.
Oh,
So
damn.
he's on his way up. But of course, this is like early enough that he's still credited as Larry Fishburne,
Yes.
which I love. I love seeing that credit in the movie. Yeah, Laurence Fishburne. I don't know that I properly conveyed how much I love him on our John Wick 3 episode. So let me just say, the more that I watch him, the more I am convinced he is our greatest living actor.
He's
Like, or the very least, top 5.
yeah, he's so awesome. I know you haven't seen Hannibal, David. Have you seen Hannibal, Tony?
No, but I've seen some like clips from the show.
Yeah. So on NBC's Hannibal, he's the Jack what's his name? The Clarice's boss from
He's like
Sound
the
Asleep.
supervising agent or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But so he plays that character and he whips ass in Hannibal. It's like it's some of the best acting I've seen like on a network TV show. And it's like, yeah, that's what you got Laurence Fishburne for, is like he's just gonna like come in and fucking drop bombs left
Nail
and right. Yeah. He rules in this. Yeah, so like the hospital is like, oh, all these kids are, you know, suicidal. They have this group delusion that there's this guy trying to kill him in their dreams. But actually they just like need you know, mental health treatment, which I guess in the 80s is pumping you full of drugs and putting you in the quiet room.
Instant red flag for this hospital or whatever it is Kristen's introduction into this, when like they're introducing Nancy to everybody, and then they're like, it's like, oh, she's having a freak out or whatever, and they run in to see Kristen like fighting off the orderlies and stuff in there, and you hear a nurse say she was fine until we tried to sedate her, which is like, if she was fine, why did you have to sedate her?
Right.
She comes in and she's like, oh, you're suicidal, okay, well, let's get some barbiturates in you then.
Although like, so like the hospital doing that is bad, but then also when you get to what like Nancy's plan is, because Nancy, the final girl from the first movie, like applies for a job at this hospital, gets hired, right? And I wrote down in my notes, because I forgot that this was the thing in this movie. I wrote down in my notes, it would be funny if Nancy Thompson was trying to push pills on these kids. And then the movie like continued, and I was like, oh, I forgot. That's exactly what she's doing. She's like a pharmaceutical rep for this experimental drug.
That
Hypnosil
drug
or
comes up
whatever.
in like multiple nightmare movies too. Like several movies feature Hypnosil.
I think it comes up in Freddy versus Jason. Like, I think if they go back to this hospital to get,
They're like, we have
Hypnosil?
we have to dose Jason with Hypnosil so that
I'm-
can drag him into the dream world.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's what they try to do.
The big conspiracy is like the final girl finds out like her dad has been secretly giving Hypnosil to like all of his patients, including her, to try and keep Freddy away. And yeah,
Wow.
so
If this was a real drug, I would say that this franchise was like in the pocket of Big Hypnosil.
Right.
It's but yeah, it was so wild, because I was like, oh, well, clearly that's not the direction they're gonna take, is that like the hero from the first movie is just trying to get a bunch of suicidal teens hooked on drugs. And then it's like, no, that's exactly what she's doing, because it's the only way to your only protection from a demon who can kill you in your nightmares is Big Pharma.
yeah, we're gonna find out that Nancy was like just a drug rep, like that she was in there. That's why she was positioned in the hospital. She works for Pfizer.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about Heather Langenkamp in this one?
She's okay.
I think the thing about her in this movie is you have Patricia Arquette as the new Nancy in this one, right? She's sort of taking on the character role that Nancy had in the first one, And Patricia Arquette is just like already such a good actress by 1987 that I feel like Heather Langenkamp sort of suffers by comparison for me in this one, where like I'm watching Patricia Arquette and I'm like, holy shit, like she's bringing it in a way that she kind of doesn't have to for the third Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And then I'm seeing Heather Langenkamp and I'm like, I can tell she's grown as an actress since the first one, but I'm a little mixed on her. There are moments where she seems a little kind of like stilted and like she's just kind of reading the lines.
I think she was a great like prototype for like a final girl who like fights back. Like I think that she was one of those kind of walks so others could run kind of thing, where it's like she does her job, she's effective, she's solid, but like they improved upon that formula with better performers later for sure, with like in other franchises. Like she's not Laurie Strode.
Yeah.
I think this came after Halloween, but she's not Jamie Lee Curtis, but like she got the job done, and they kept calling her back, and she did what she had to do.
Yeah.
What about you, David?
I think she's okay in the first one. I think she's really good here. I think she's probably even better in New Nightmare, which is her only other appearance, because they kill her off in this one, which I think was a good move.
Mhm.
But it's it's clear that she didn't act much outside of this series, and the jobs that she gets now, few and far between, are because she's been in these movies. But I think they do really good things with her character in this, and it seems like she's kind of stepped up to the plate more to handle that, the new things that her character has to do in this movie compared to the first one. Yeah, I really like her in this one. I think she's pretty good in this. But to your point, Justus, this is Patricia Arquette's first movie, and she's already like a great actress. So having them both kind of have to play, like eventually Patricia Arquette gets sidelined. That's a little rough, especially because she doesn't come back for any of the others. Like they continue with the Kristen character and Nightmare 4, but Patricia Arquette doesn't come back. We don't really ever get the chance to see her fully shine in these.
Which is like a little bit of a shame, but also I think it was probably ultimately good for Patricia Arquette's career that it went other places beyond Nightmare sequels. It's also a good thing for all of us. The moment that really blew me away was kind of towards the end of this movie when Nancy gets killed by Freddy. Patricia Arquette's reaction, where she's like mourning and like crying over Nancy's body, I was like, damn, like that is already such a good actress in her first movie. Like you're seeing her like real tears, like real pain in a way that you like don't usually get in horror, in like a slasher movie, especially like the third entry. And I was like, oh, cool. Like that's one of the reasons this movie has the reputation it does, is because it like actually has a real actor anchoring it.
I would say across the board, I think the acting is better in this movie than it deserves to be. Like, specifically like Kincaid and Taryn, both like those two characters, like really struck me this last time watching through. I love what they were both doing, and they didn't have a lot to work with.
Yeah, it is like night and day in terms of performances between this one and the second one. Because the second one, the second one, I watched 1 and 2 in advance of this record to refresh my memory before rewatching 3. And the second one, I sort of am like, that one's kind of so bad it's good. In a lot of ways, like there's a lot of shit in there that I'm like, this is campy and silly and ridiculous. And I like love it because it's perfectly calibrated campy silliness. But the performances in that one are like dog shit. Like most of the performances in that movie are awful. And then watching this one, it's like, oh, it's like a totally different franchise, basically. Like, yeah, I love Kincaid in this movie too. He really stuck out to me this time as well. Like from the first time I watched it, like all of these characters made a little bit of an impression. But this time around, I was really watching Ken Sagoes, watching what he's doing. I was like, oh, there's like he's bringing a lot of interiority to this character that you don't actually really get any background on, but you kind of get his thing just from the performance.
I mean, the Freddy franchise notoriously pretty bad about its treatment of its like black characters, like the way they're written and the way they're treated on stage, on screen, all that stuff. Like throughout the films, but I think that like you said before, like he's the only black patient in this area, and he's constantly being thrown into the quiet room for being belligerent and aggressive and shit like that. And like they're always quick to like sedate him or tell, like whenever he says any comment in the group or anything like that, the lead like white lady doctor is always like, "That's enough, young man," kind of thing. And I think that on paper they weren't really realizing what they were writing at all with that. Like they were like, "He's a tough talking street kid," and the kind of thing, and like he was totally but the performer, I think, plays the reality of what that situation must be like, I think, a lot better. Like, and his interplay with Max, with Larry Fishburne's character, and that I think that like really shows like those little moments of vulnerability of like, I can't believe I'm getting fucking thrown in here again, kind of thing of like, yeah. And even the other kids, I think too, like the little connections they're fine, like what they see with him, where they like don't let it take his shit. They don't like that, like, you know, they snap back at him and tell him to like fuck off and stuff too, but like they're still very protective of him when he's getting thrown out and stuff too.
Yeah, I think Kincaid could easily become like a caricature or a stereotype, and the writing might be leaning in that direction, but I think Ken Sagos does a good job of stepping up, performing better than what he's given. We should say this was written by Wes Craven. First of all, Wes Craven's back. In the production chair and story and screenplay. Bruce Wagner, who worked with David Cronenberg on Maps to the Stars. But we also have Frank Darabont and Chuck Russell, who also directed this. And of course, Chuck Russell went on to direct the Blob remake. So it seems like creatively, this has a lot more fire behind it than the other Nightmare movies, save the other two that Wes Craven's involved with.
Another Craven collaborator who we have on board for this one, who can you tell, is Rick Baker. Rick Baker, who also did stuff for Scream 2 and 3.
Rick Baker was on this team? I didn't even notice that.
And we also have Angelo Badalamenti composing the music.
I didn't realize until, I think his name's in the opening credits, but I guess I must have missed it because I did not realize that it was an Angelo score until the end credits of the movie when Dokken was playing. And I was like, wait. That was Angelo the whole time? I did not recognize this score as one of his.
This is one of his earliest scores, but it is the year after Blue Velvet.
Wow.
So
there's a couple names that I did recognize, like in the credits from like the special effects and makeup department. I had to like look up some of their other work, but Mark Sjostrom, who also did makeup stuff for From Beyond and Evil Dead 2. Which kind of shows here again. That's that fucking. He brought the skeleton with him, like he had it in a suitcase. I guess.
Yeah. This and Evil Dead 2, by the way, same year.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
and like watching this movie, I'm like, that's crazy that it came out the same year as Evil Dead, because I could have sworn one of these movies influenced the other one, because there is so much shit in both of these movies that like lines up, like, and it makes complete sense that one of the effects guys worked on both movies, because it's like, yeah, like the big monster zombie lady from the cellar with the like the neck that stretches out, like it's basically the same as the Freddy worm, like
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
which another contributor who definitely had a part in that Freddy worm, since it's juicy and it's got bug shit. Screaming Mad George is listed in the credits.
Hell yeah.
Everybody's old friend Screaming Mad George.
It's so...
Oh shit. Oh, we got Screaming Mad George on this shit?
Yep. If it's juicy and it's got bug shit, Screaming Mad George is on the credits.
It's so fucking funny to bill yourself as Screaming Mad George when your job is just making the grossest horror effects imaginable. I love Screaming Mad George. Big recommendation to any listeners who haven't seen the film Society. Check that out.
yeah, that might be a stay tuned for us. I'm not gonna lie.
To see some of the best of Screaming Mad George's work. Okay, so where are we? There's the stuff at the Popsicle House. I don't know if this is the next dream that happens, but there is a dream that I think is Patricia Arquette. Yeah, because she's building this little house out of popsicle sticks. And she has a dream that like she goes into the popsicle stick house. And I did want to call out a really cool camera move here where like she's going up to the door of the popsicle stick house, and initially it's like kind of shot very close to her. So it looks like you can basically just see the doorway, and then there's a great like dolly zoom out, like the dolly pulls out. It's a really Evil Dead camera move, which is one of the reasons I'm like, this movie has seen Evil Dead, because it is like very, very similar in some of these more kinetic moments to what Raimi's doing in that movie. But the dolly zoom out on the full size popsicle house where they like just built the front facade of a house to match the little model that she's building, I thought was so cool. And then she goes into the house, and this is where we have the Freddy worm, right? He pops out. It's it's big gross snake with Robert Englund's face that looks awesome. The practical effects in this movie rule. Like all of it looks so fucking good. And he just like starts chowing down on her.
Yeah. There's so many different types of practical effects in this movie, which is one of the things I love about it. We have the full size Freddy worm puppet. We have stop motion later on.
Some of the stop motion in this movie is like some of the best stop motion I feel like I've seen. Yeah.
The stop motion Freddy puppet, like the marionette for when he kills Philip. Yeah, I really like that. And then at the end, it's full on Army of Darkness.
Even the stop motion skeleton though, I'm like, that looks fucking good. Like because a lot of the time I'm like, oh, it's like Jason and the Argonaut shit. Like you can really see like the frame rate is like we're stopping more than we're motioning, sort of. and it's like with this skeleton in this one, I'm like, oh, that's like, it actually moves really smooth and seamless. Like it actually looks pretty incredible.
The popsicle stick house is supposed to be Nancy's house.
Okay, yeah.
Because they keep coming back to Nancy's house as a recurring image in these movies.
Right.
Sort of the same way that Halloween does that with the Myers house. I think it's less effective here because it's like, I don't know what's so special about Nancy's house and why we keep coming back to it.
Well, it's interesting is like there was I read the first draft script of this because I found it online because I like the Wikipedia was mentioning some of the differences, and in the original draft it's supposed to be Freddy's house that's like the hub of everything that happens. Yeah, like Freddy's childhood home, like they find and is near this hospital and is like the portal to all the evil and stuff. And so I don't know why they decided like maybe they just didn't want to introduce like a new house. They just wanted to keep. They had already built the facade from the first movie and they pulled it out of storage or something. But yeah, I don't know why they changed it back to his house. Because I agree, it's kind of, there's nothing special about it. I wouldn't recognize Nancy's house in like a photo or something like that.
No, to me, the way more recognizable house in this movie is actually Patricia Arquette's house, because anytime you see the interiors of the house where she lives, it seems like her mom has $10 million. It's like the table that because like Nancy goes to visit Patricia Arquette's mom at one point to talk to her about like the dreams that she's been having or whatever. She's sitting at this like giant like black granite table, and there's like a huge like fucking spiral staircase in like the middle of their foyer. It seems like this woman has like more money than God. Yeah, so in the dream world, Patricia Arquette, as she's being chomped on by Freddy Snake, she calls out to Nancy psychically and like pulls Nancy into the dream. And I like the way that that's done. Like the camera trick of her falling through the chair is really cool.
It's so
neat
cool.
effect. Yeah.
I can forgive a lot of the effects in these movies because I just sort of chalk it up to like, well, they're dreams. So sometimes if the practical effects don't look great, that's okay. But like you said earlier, I think almost all of the effects in this movie are really, really excellent. And that shot of her falling through the chair is like pure old school movie making magic.
Yeah. It's super sick. And then so she shows up in the dream house and like helps Patricia Arquette get free of Freddy, and she like has Patricia Arquette like wake them both up, and she wakes up like with the cut on her palm, so she knows it was real and stuff, and she's like, oh shit, this girl's got dream powers.
I love the moment that they give Nancy and Freddy there, where like you're like, Freddy's not there for her. It's not like it's her story really. It shows that like they're kind of moving in a different direction. But like he looks at me, sees her, and he's like, God damn it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you again.
This
Great.
pain in my ass.
Yeah, and then it sort of
You're that bitch that pulled me out of the dream and started beating the shit out of me.
You took my hat.
Yeah, she does steal his hat. It'd be funny if that's all he wanted. Like if she just gives the hat back, everything just stops.
That's what he carves into Joey at the end. Is like, where's the hat, bitch?
It's one of a kind. They don't make them like they used to.
When
You
Nancy's
know how
talking,
hard it is to find a good haberdasher in hell.
when Nancy's talking to the kids later, and they're finally like confronting the fact that they're all dreaming about Freddy and like we're treating it seriously because the doctors are skeptical of what's going on. And she's like, I think the first thing she brings up is you all dream of a man with a hat. And I'm like, I don't feel like the hat is the first thing I think of. It's like he's got the claw hand, the Christmas sweater.
And the fact that his face is melted. I'd be like, so you're all dreaming about this guy whose face looks like hamburger. I think what he's wearing is sort of secondary.
Yeah.
To the fact that he has no skin.
The Freddy makeup looks great in this.
Yeah.
That is not always the case. I think it looks really solid in this one.
Yeah, I think one of the keys for me to like a good Freddy is he's got to look wet. I feel like if you have dry looking Freddy makeup, suddenly we're in like beef jerky territory. But if Freddy looks wet, that's the sweet spot where you want to be.
Yeah.
It is funny. We were talking about like Tony, you were saying that you're like maybe not a Nightmare on Elm Street guy first and foremost, maybe more of like a Halloween, like a Scream guy. I'm that way too, where it's like, yeah, my favorites are like Michael Myers, like Leatherface. Freddy's like pretty low down the list for me. I was thinking about it and I was like, I think the horror fan who's like too into Freddy Krueger is like not really a guy that you want to be. Because it's like I like the Nightmare movies, but it's like if your main guy is the guy with the green sweater and the claw hand who's like maybe a child molester and at least a child murderer, I don't know.
Unfortunately,
like
one of those is on this call.
Oh, is that you? Is Freddy your main man?
Yeah, I mean, I think my problem with Michael is that he's really only truly threatening in a couple of those Halloween movies.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them aren't good, and his character isn't particularly good in them. Leatherface is fun because you always get a slightly different flavor with Leatherface because someone else is playing him and doing some other weird psycho thing. I kind of think Freddy is my favorite, partially because I think this is my favorite of the 80s slasher franchises to begin with. But he can kind of do both. He can be creepy and more of a menacing presence like he is in the first one and the second one and this movie, or he can be a little bit more funny and charismatic, and it definitely gets to a point where it's excessive in like Freddy's Dead. But I kind of think he's like maybe the perfect slasher, just because you could do so many different things with him. And I think he's actually a really big influence on who I think is actually probably the perfect slasher these days, which is Art the Clown. I think Art the Clown is perfect because you get him. He's totally silent. So you get the Jason element, you get the Michael Myers element, but he's doing bits. And so you get the Freddy element mixed in. And he's also just like much more sadistic and threatening. So he can do anything, really. I
do think I am with you on, I think the genius of Art the Clown is he's kind of like a Freddy who can't talk, which is like, yeah, you avoid like going too far like some of the like later Elm Street sequels do, because it's like, yeah, he's never going to be able to like open up his yapper, right? Which is ultimately what the problem becomes. Yeah, I in this movie, I think the balance is pretty perfect. In the first two, I like that Freddy is like a lot more sinister. I kind of forgot until I rewatched 2 how not funny he is in 2, because I always kind of am like, oh, he's serious in the first one and then he gets goofy. And it's like, no, he's not really goofy in the second one. This is really where it starts showing up. But it's like, it's sparse enough that the one-liners kind of feel like earned moments where it's like it's a moment that's earned, that helps like release some of the tension from the scene and makes you laugh a little bit, but it like doesn't totally break the movie, you know.
I'll say that like I
Yeah.
feel like this movie, like the one-liners are diegetic to the scene in a way that like they're not later, like where he's saying them to the people before they kill him, before he kills them, in order to like make them like freak them out more. Whereas there's so many, like the part of why they get it so wrong in the later movies, it's like he does a kill and then he like turns the camera and be like, that was a shocker, like that just does not hit as well, like that loses
Right.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
good that he's not funny in the second one, because then you risk making him homophobic and he's just like, I know you're gay, Jesse.
Yeah. That second movie like maybe is homophobic, but also I just feel like it's so much more complicated than that.
It's very interesting.
I
will
think
say
the
that.
movie I think the movie tries to be homophobic and actually circles all the way back around
Right. I
to
think
just
that-
kind of being representation.
The Freddy's Revenge or whatever is definitely the season of the witch of the Freddy's franchise, because like it starts off in the first one, his motivation is to like take revenge on the Elm Street kids, and then in the third one he comes back and does that, but then he has this little side quest to like help this kid come out, like that has nothing to do with the rest of it. His motivations are completely different from anything else he does in any of the other like 7 movies, and he's just focused on this one kid and helping him discover things about himself, and then he's right back to the Elm Street kids.
Okay,
it's
I got
it's
revenge
a
on
court
Nancy's
mandated
mother.
community service.
Now it's time for me to take this kid on a journey of self-discovery. You know how you have a Kate Bush poster on the back of your door? Maybe you should think about why that is.
Was it in the first draft thing that I read of this movie, he was a lot less witty. Like they were truly clearly trying that out of like him making more like little comments and things, but they're just like not very like clever yet. And it was a lot more like just like calling people the C word, and he does
Right.
drop the F slur at one point.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot more like shut up, bitch, and like kind of stuff, instead of trying to make a game out of it.
yeah.
And I think I honestly feel like it was probably like Robert Englund doing the "Welcome to Primetime, Bitch," that like changed everything for this
Right.
franchise. Of him doing
Yeah.
that, and they're like, that rules. Go back and do a rewrite right now, and like give me 5 more of those.
Right. It's like them just taking the total wrong lesson from it. Because in this movie, Welcome to Primetime Bitch is such a highlight, because it's sort of the only moment in the movie that is like that campy and that silly, right? And then they're like, oh, well, we should just make the whole movie that. And it's like, no, the reason that it worked is because it happens once. Heather Langenkamp is she's now like, okay, like this girl Patricia Arquette has dream powers. This is maybe something that we can use, right? And so she's like simultaneously trying to like get the hospital to prescribe all these kids Hypnocil so that they don't have dreams, but she's also like talking to the kids and being like, hey, like I think that we can like work together to help, you know, defeat this guy, because like I believe you, I've met this guy too. There's like the group session where she basically convinces them that she has been through what they're going through. I do think it's the doctor, the administrator guy, I think his name's Neil, the character.
Yeah.
I do understand this guy throwing his whole career away for a 1987 Heather Langenkamp. She is gorgeous in this movie. And this guy initially, when she's like, I want to give all these kids Hypnocil, like that's why I got a job at this hospital, was to push sleeping pills on your patients. He's kind of like, well, I don't know about that. And he's like, well, we'll talk about this later. And then the next time it comes up is when like the head doctor lady is like, she wants to give them all Hypnocil. And he's like, yeah, and you know what? I actually agree with her. And I just see this as him just angling. He's just rolling those dice and being like, I maybe only have one shot with this woman, so it's like I can choose my career. Or I can choose like a 50-50 shot at getting a date with Heather Langenkamp.
These kids are already committing suicide anyways. Like, I may as well just throw this out there.
I gotta risk it all on this girl. Yeah.
I'm glad they don't make too much of a thing out of it. Like they never kiss or anything like that in the movie. They just kind of hint at it.
But it's
It's the
clear
right
that that's where
balance.
it's coming from.
Oh,
for him.
absolutely.
Yeah.
In the original
Absolutely.
draft, in the first draft, they had like a full sex scene and everything.
Yeah.
Too, which is, I'm so glad they shied away from that.
We don't need it. I kind of like it better when Dr. Neil is like gambling with his whole career over like a maybe. You know, and then it doesn't work out. She gets killed, and at the end of the movie, he's just kind of like, all right, I guess I'm unemployed now.
I like that he's so committed to possibly banging Nancy that he's willing to like pick up her father and shove him against a wall and threaten him while he's like in his police officer uniform.
No, his security guard uniform.
Yes, he's no longer
security guard. That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
John Saxon has notably gone from like actual member of the police force to security guard from the first to the third movie, which I thought was such a funny reveal that the badge on the side says security now.
I missed that.
Which the least believable moment in the movie was that wormy little prick like shoving John Saxon up against a pillar and him not immediately just pop.
I do love the moment where John Saxon does the thing where he just like gets his hands off him because he's like holding him by the shoulders or whatever, and John Saxon does like in a really quick motion, he just like breaks this guy's grip because he's like, don't fucking touch me. I love him in this movie. I love him in general, but like there's something about him because in like Black Christmas and in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, he is still very much giving kind of like his presence in those is like, maybe this guy has a little bit of a dark side, but he's generally kind of like a warm and comforting authority figure. And in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, he's a little shitty because all the adults are shitty, but he's kind of the least shitty one. And then in this movie, it's just like this dude has taken like a full nosedive. He's got shots of liquor and a beer that he's nursing when they show up at the bar. And it's like, all right, this man's life has gone off the rails. He's like chain smoking the whole time. He's like a little, like his skin is like a little more leathery by 1987. And I'm just like, this is where I want to be with John Saxon, is like piece of shit John Saxon.
He's fully settled into character actor John Saxon mode in this. I was rewatching From Dusk Till Dawn recently, and his name pops up in the opening credits, even though he is in the movie for literally 30 seconds. He is guy on a TV in From Dusk Till Dawn, and Robert Rodriguez saw fit to bestow him an opening credit.
Hell yeah. In this one, he gets a special appearance by John Saxon. And once we got to him in the movie, I was like, it's as advertised. This is a special appearance.
Yeah.
This is a third act John Saxon.
The movie. Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about the stop motion more. Like basically the next big thing that happens is that we have the little Freddy stop motion puppet. One of the kids, Philip, he's kind of the one who gets the least characterization because he dies first. I don't really like get what this kid's deal is, right? Like there's the nerd kid who is in the wheelchair, and then there's the kid who's mute. And then there's Kincaid, who we already talked about, and Patricia Arquette. And then there's like this kid is just basically cannon fodder. Yeah.
He sleepwalks.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah.
Which is the big thing, with him. And like he also struck me as like the most like confident and outspoken of them, which I was kind of surprised like he's the first to go, because I feel like they set him up to be he's the first one that they introduced Nancy to and stuff like that. And so it seems like he's going to be kind of her little sidekick, but then nope, he's not.
Yeah. So we have like the Freddy marionette here. That stop motion rules. It looks really good. The shot of like the stop motion shot of the face of the marionette like morphing into the little puppet face is so cool.
That's rad as fuck.
Yeah. And then Phil's veins get ripped out of his arms and legs and he starts getting puppeteered in his dream by his veins. Which like this is the thing where watching it this time, I was like, okay, I kind of forgot how effectively like gross this is. There's the one really close-up shot when he's walking up to like the tower to jump off, where it's just a close-up shot of his foot with the vein coming out of the top of his foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's horrible. Like, and it affected me more than I remembered it doing. Yeah.
Yeah, this is my favorite kill in the movie because
This
I
might be
think
mine too. Yeah.
I think it's mine too. Yeah.
it's so gross. It's so stomach churning. It's genuinely disturbing.
I love
So
that the kids
Freddy-
try to help each other. Like, this is a
Yeah.
great show of the dynamic of it. Like, they're so helpless to stop him as they're watching it. It's such a good, yeah.
Yeah, like the kid who can't speak wakes up Will, and Will wakes up and like is at the window. He like smashes the window open and he's like screaming at him to wake up. And it's like, yeah, it's pretty effectively like tense and scary. And yeah, like the kid who can't speak like running down the halls and like smashing this metal pan into all the doors to wake everybody up is like, it's a pretty cool visual, just like the shot of the long hallway shot. And also like it really like helps ratchet up the tension of the scene. Yeah. The thing that like maybe works a little bit less for me, but I still do kind of like it, is Big Freddy in the sky. Because for a while you're just seeing him being puppeteered by veins and you're not seeing like where they're attached to. And then like right before he jumps off the tower, you see like giant Freddy, like kaiju Freddy Krueger in the sky with the marionette thing.
You don't like Mufasa Freddy?
It's just like, it's the moment where this scene has been scary and tense and not really silly. It's the moment where it's like, okay, but this is also silly too. Like, it's
I
like
think
the
it's-
one moment of silliness in the scene.
Yeah, I think it adds some levity, honestly. Because like a movie about a bunch of kids who are locked up in a mental hospital for suicide attempts, like, could go in a really dark and disturbing and maybe like problematic direction. And I think this movie very narrowly avoids being problematic with its themes. So
Yeah.
like throwing big giant Freddy puppeteering this kid before he falls off of the building is like just a nice, it brings things back up a little bit. And we're not dealing with something that's so dark and disturbing.
That's a really good point, actually. I hadn't thought about like the fact that like the levity in this movie is sort of necessary given the subject matter that we're tackling. But I think you are right, like now that you frame it that way, because it's like, yeah, it is about teen suicide, basically.
Yeah.
and so it's like we do need some of the camp in there to keep it from getting like too morose. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you commit suicide by shoving your head into a television that's several feet off the ground, but like
it's so awesome when that happens. Like they walk in and she is off the ground. Her feet are not on the ground and her head is through the television. And they're just like, ah, damn, these teen suicides. And I'm like, what the fuck
another
are you talking
suicide.
But one thing that I want to point out one last bit about this, what I love about it is, again, it's just a great example of the theme of like these kids not being able to rely on authority figures in any of these movies and just having to rely on each other. Because that moment where Joey, the kid who can't speak, runs out, and like the first thing he does, like, because Willis is like, get help, and he runs. And he goes to the nurse and she's just like, what's going on? What's wrong? And you can see the moment on his face where he's just like, this isn't fucking worth it. Like, she's not going to get it. And he just grabs her tray and starts waking up the other kids. And they, without asking, immediately just run into the room. And like, that's okay.
Yeah.
There's like a silent connection, understanding between them that like adults just don't understand. And I feel like that's just like such a great little way of showing that there.
I think it's also like, it's important that the victims in the Nightmare movies are teens in a way that it like doesn't feel as important in other slashers. Like teens are like classic slasher fodder, right? But it's like in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, at least these first three, it feels like it serves like a real thematic purpose, because it is that thing of like, it is sort of the age where you are becoming aware that adults are like fallible and like you can't rely on them for everything, and like sometimes they're going to let you down. And also like as a result of that, you need to like form kind of bonds with your peers and to like look out for each other, you know? And like it's always kind of struck me that like Freddy Krueger, the serial killer, before he dies and becomes a demonic entity, he killed like little kids. Like they make that really clear in the movies. Like even in the opening dream sequence of this one, it's like he wasn't killing teens, he was killing like small children. But like post his death, he goes after teenagers, and I was always like, oh, that's a little weird. Like, why would that be how that works? And then it's like, oh, because for the movies, like thematically, it's important that like the survivors are like in this age group. Like it feels like it's like these movies are kind of about that phase of life in some ways.
For sure. And I think it's like interesting that really pointedly this is the only franchise that like the teens are not like smoking, drinking, having sex in the woods kind of thing. It's not like, oh, we're punishing you for your sins kind of stuff. It's they literally, like they say like pointedly, like this is not your fault. What's happening?
It's about what your parents did wrong. Yeah. Which also makes this movie, I think, really interesting because this movie came out during the Reagan presidency, right? And it's like this, it feels like this movie is a little bit of a commentary on being like, yeah, like the older generation just like fucks shit up for kids. And then the kids have to like deal with it, and that's like unfair and horrible, you know, which I feel that's always been part of Nightmare on Elm Street. Like the first one is very much about that, but I think that like this one coming out like when Reagan is president just like makes that message like a little bit stronger. And the fact that like the kids are all kind of like outcasts from society, right? Like we have a punk, we have a disabled kid, we have a black kid, right? Two disabled kids. And so it's like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense that it's like in 87 we're being like, yeah, maybe these kids are like not gonna have the greatest life because of like decisions that people in positions of authority are making.
And yet still those authority figures are like, you guys just are, you're immoral and that's why this is happening to you.
Yeah, one of the things that I really like in this movie is how shitty the hospital administrator lady is to them when she's talking to them about their suicide problems or whatever, and she's talking about suicide to these kids in very toxic terms, where she's like, it is such a selfish, evil, immoral choice, and like you need to like not kill yourself because it's the right thing to do and the responsible thing to do. And it's like, okay, like that type of rhetoric is like so harmful in a way that like the movie like recognizes, but it also feels a little bit like it feels kind of prescient that this movie that came out in 1987, right before we were like all talking in therapy speak. It kind of feels like mental health is important is like actually kind of an edgy take to have in this era.
It's a bit punk rock to do CBT, if I say that.
Anyway, so yeah, the marionette kid Phil eats shit, and it's very sad. I like that you don't see the aftermath of this fall. I get enough like gore and stuff later in this movie that I kind of like that he falls off the tower and then we just cut to the next scene.
Yeah.
An underrated thing in slashers is like knowing when not to show the thing. And I think that this movie does a pretty good job of like selecting what it's going to show you and what it's going to leave up to your imagination.
Yeah, I think it was the right choice to hold back from showing that. I think the scene's pretty effective without it. And again, like if it had shown it, then maybe it would have pushed the themes of mental health into a problematic place in this movie. But it doesn't. And instead we get to watch another kid get killed by a TV in the next scene. So like
yeah,
basically the next thing I think is Jennifer.
They have the group meeting where they talk about the suicide and they say like he was a coward, and then but then it goes right into Jennifer.
And like, so this is where she's doing the worst thing to stay awake, which is just watching late night TV. She's burning herself with the cigarette, and she's like dozing off. And also, she has like, Tony, did you used to smoke? I feel like we've talked about this before.
I may have. Depending
if you don't want this revealed on
my social circle listens to this, I might have, or this might be satire.
I can also cut this out if you prefer for me to. But I used to, and a thing that I was noticing in this scene is she's pulling out this halfer. It's like less than half of a cigarette and relighting it, and that shit is always like the most noxious drag of a cigarette you'll ever
Crispiest,
take in
like,
your
yeah.
life.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that is like very little actual tobacco leaves and mostly tar.
As another
Yeah.
little side cigarette thing too, I really just liked it. I don't know why. The detail of when they're all playing Wizard Master, Taryn, who is allowed to smoke, has a Coke can to ash into. I just felt like that was so real.
Also, man, just like this nerd Will is just having the best night of his life when he finally gets the hot punk chick who like is chain smoking cigarettes and ashing him into a Coke can to play his like D&D game with him.
Right.
He's,
and she
he's
actually
just like,
says, by in the name of Lorik, Prince of Elves, Demon Be Gone, he must be so hard.
yeah. He's like, my legs don't work anymore, but thank God. Thank God my boner still works.
Call the nurse. Something happened.
Yeah, I was just like, it's like every DM's dream is like a hot punk chick's gonna walk into the session and be like, all right, pass me a character creation sheet. But yeah, so she's watching TV here, and she dozes off, and this is where we get Freddy Krueger attacking Zsa Zsa Gabor for a second, because she's in a dream now, so the talk show morphs, and then like the TV turns to static. Her response is to walk up to the TV and stare into the static, which is a bad idea. And then robot hands come out of the sides of the TV. I love the effect of like the head rising out of the top and like the like weird like saran wrap shit over Robert Englund's face that like then like cinches over him. I like that he's got the antennae coming out of his head too. The TV antenna.
Well, it's some kind of effect for like him for the head rising out of the TV.
Yeah,
it's clearly some sort of effect, but then it is just Robert Englund sticking his
head through a TV. Yeah,
with makeup on, and I'm like, I'm wondering what that was like for Robert. What that makeup process was like.
Yeah, you're right. He sticks his head through the TV and then they apply the makeup. He's just like standing with his shoulders in a TV for 4 hours or whatever. Yeah, and then it says welcome to primetime, bitch, and slams her head into the TV.
And what I love about this too is that the next scene is I always love a next day funeral in movies.
Yes.
It's so funny where she clearly like it's past lights out, whatever time lights out is, where she dies, or like when Max finds her and she dies. And so like literally overnight they find the body, do whatever the police department needs to, and then the next morning it's like, wake up, get your suit on, Jennifer's dead, we're going to her grave that's already been purchased.
One of my all-time favorite slasher tropes is smash cut to funeral. So I'm fully with you on this, Tony. The best franchise for smash cut to funeral is Final Destination, by the way.
Oh yeah.
My favorite part of any Final Destination movie is when it's just like horrendous kill scene ends, boom, smash cut to a casket with some flowers on it.
Even if the horror movie is bad, I do sort of respect it every time a horror movie has a funeral, because it acknowledges like, oh, these are people who are, to the other characters in this movie, like real people who are being mourned, and we're going to like make fun of that and play with that, especially in Final Destination, where it's like this major aviation disaster happened. We're gonna have a funeral for the victims at the start of this goofy horror movie.
Yeah, or like in Final Destination when like a character whose only personality trait is like guy who likes cocaine and wears a leather jacket. And it's like you get to see this guy's like weeping mother. It's just like, all right, I don't know if this is territory that like we need to be straying into, but
and then the rest of the main characters are all there like, oh, this is so stupid. No one loved this guy. What are we doing here?
You have to imagine what like the guy's actual like immediate family is like when like these like strangers show up on the edge of their funeral. It's like, how did they know Jackson?
Right, who is
like,
that guy leaning up against a tree?
Well, they have some kind of death curse, I guess. I don't know.
Are they after the life insurance? Is that what this is? But yeah, speaking of guys leaning against a tree at a funeral, Dr. Neil is doing that here, and he runs into this creepy nun who he has already seen a couple of times. So like I liked almost everything about this movie on this watch. I don't know. I'm not sure that I am sold on creepy ghost nun. How do you guys feel about Sister Mary Helen?
Yeah, definitely the weakest point to me. Like adding in the Christian elements to this, I feel like don't really do anything for me. I haven't had like a history with religion or anything either. I also don't like that they like she's clearly a ghost, and like they reveal at the end that she's a ghost. Like also they have this conversation where he's like, I recognize you from the hospital. You volunteer sometimes. And she's like, yeah. It's like, so this ghost volunteers at the hospital.
Right, this ghost is picking up shifts.
The ghost has a temporary ID.
Or I guess she can just walk through walls. So she just like shows up. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about it. And like she does this little exposition dump. I don't think it's like right here, but it's like around here. Where she is talking to Neil about Freddy Krueger, and she's like, "Oh, like I know what's going on here. You know, they're dreaming about this guy." And then we get the backstory, and this is the thing that I really feel like I don't need. And it's basically her whole function in the movie, which is like, yeah, there was like a girl who was in this mental institution, and then she was like sexually assaulted by a gang of 100 other inmates at this correctional institution. And that's Freddy Krueger is the bastard child of 100 maniacs or whatever. And I like all that shit. I'm just like, fuck off. Like yeah. It really gave me the same feeling as like the reveal that like Pinhead used to be a regular guy in Hellraiser 2, where I'm just like, suck my dick. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I understood that he was like an undead child molester, and like that was like good enough for me. I don't need to know like why he is that way. Like, he has a claw hand and a burnt face. Like, that's fine.
So I can kind of I'm okay with the Freddy backstory. I think it's just enough, and I think each movie builds on it a bit. And it probably I would have to think about what's in like 4, 5, and 6, because it probably goes too far at some point. But I think the little bit that we get here is fine, and it's like I said, just enough. They don't overdo it. But it is also being delivered by a ghost nun that is just here for some reason and never explained. Yeah, I don't, and it's revealed at the end that she's actually Amanda Krueger and she changed her name when she became a nun and all that. I don't know. I kind of just took it in stride this time. I was like, fuck it, sure. We have a ghost nun in the movie now. Let's just roll with it. Like, I'm okay with it, I think.
The reveal that the ghost nun is actually Freddy Krueger's mom is so stupid that I started kind of liking it again. Like, I was like kind of not down with all the ghost nun stuff and like all the Freddy backstory shit, but then at the end when it's like Neil walks up to her gravestone and it says Amanda Krueger, like AKA Sister Mary Helen. And then her birth date and her death date. And then he, in case you didn't fucking get it, he goes, "It was you. You're his mother." And when that happened, I was kind of like, all right, I actually kind of like this again. Because it's like, it sort of circles around. It's like so dumb that it's kind of good.
Yeah. I don't think it's the biggest flaw in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, so I don't know, all that shit happens. Also, like around here, they do like the emergency meeting that's like off the record or whatever, which ultimately is what ends up getting them in trouble. Or was that before this? Because they get in trouble because the hospital administrator finds out about that they're slipping these kids Hypnocil.
Yeah, Neil meets the ghost nun, and then like he talks to Nancy about like how he just doesn't understand anything. She decides that it's time to like give the whole backstory. So they do their little unofficial meeting and try to do the group hypnosis. And then like you said, like there's no way to actually combat Freddy if he doesn't want you to. Like their whole thing is like, let's go into this together, and then he immediately like, okay, walls are made of fire. Sorry. Like, oh no.
But before walls are made of fire, first I'm gonna lure one kid away from the group by making him dream that a horny nurse wants to fuck him.
That's right. I didn't realize. Yeah, one. I guess like
it's
Freddy,
Joey. Right?
Freddy is a gay ally because he's like, I'm gonna pretend to be a foxy nurse now. Like, I'm gonna do my drag persona.
I do feel robbed that this movie didn't give us female lower body Freddy head. Like, I want to see Freddy with tits, basically, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Because she takes her top off, and then like Joey's starting to make out with her, and then we just hard cut to her changing. She's Freddy now. I really just want like, Joey sucking on her nipples or something, and then looks up and Freddy's looking down at him. Something like that.
Oh, Joey, too much teeth.
This is a nightmare movie. Her nipples could have been little Freddy heads or something.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Although what actually happens here is pretty dope, because like before he even turns back into Freddy, he's still in like sexy lady his sexy lady disguise. He starts shooting tongues out of she's shooting tongues out of her mouth that are tying him to the bed frame, and like we get all 4 tongues out, tying his wrists and ankles. Before then, like she turns back into Freddy and says, "What's the matter? Feeling tongue tied."
Was it in that first script I read? Joey actually dies here. He doesn't survive the movie. He's killed here, and like he's killed by the foxy nurse tongue going into his body and out of his eyeball. Like it.
Oh shit!
The tongue like shoots out of his eye and stuff like that, and whips back in. Yeah.
I'm a little sad that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a couple more deaths in this movie, honestly.
Yeah. First draft did have Joey died. Kincaid dies in the original version too. Yeah, they all die.
But they definitely take care of that at the beginning of Nightmare 4, where they just kill off everyone that's still alive.
I sort of admire that about the Nightmare franchise, where it's like, yeah, if anybody survives, like not for long.
Let's take it.
But the other thing about this scene that I love is like, so the tongues tie him to the bed frame. Freddy says, "What's wrong, Joey? Feeling tongue tied?" And then immediately after that, a pit to hell opens up underneath him, full of child bones, which is like, it's so awesome that it's like gross ass practical effect. Hilarious one-liner, and then just like pit to hell spouting flames with the bones of dead children rimming it, and this kid is just like suspended over it. It goes pretty hard. And I guess an Angelo Badalamenti score is playing over that without my knowledge. And so he's like trapped in the dream realm, because they all like, then the rest of them wake up and Joey is stuck, and he's in a coma, and so then they like basically the whole setup for the rest of the movie is like, well, we have to go back into the dream world to rescue Joey from Freddy. And there's like the carving on his chest that shows up while he's in a coma that's like, "Come find me, bitch," or whatever.
I love that he takes the time to also add bitch. Like he sees that he has space on the stomach still. I mean, it's like, "Come and get him, bitch." That'd be me like writing like a birthday banner. I would like try to do too much, or like, "Come and get him," and I will and I will fucking cut.
He's like
on the side.
He's carving into his chest, and he like starts going down the arm a little bit because he's like, "I ran out of space." Some cool like body horror stuff.
"Come and get him, bitch. Sincerely, Freddy Krueger. P.S. You suck. ASS, go fuck yourself."
Parentheses, see page 2, and you have to flip him over in his back.
His back. He's like, he makes a typo. He has to cross something out. Draft 1, new draft on other side. Yeah, some good like body horror stuff in this movie. Like overall, like I like the cuts just kind of opening up on his chest. It like looks really gnarly. The effect looks really good. And like yeah, like the stuff with the marionette kill, and then in one of the ones that's coming up, the track marks, the like little thirsty track marks, just lots of really good like gross out body horror stuff. Which is like one of the things that I like about Nightmare on Elm Street is like it lets the filmmakers get way more creative with the kills than in like a Halloween movie where it's like, okay, we have to like think about reasonably like how could Michael Myers do this, right? And whereas in the dream world, all bets are off. You can have little thirsty little track marks that just want to sucky a needle full of drugs, and like you can go wild with that shit. And they really make like very good use of the possibilities in this movie, I think. So even though there's like not as many kills as maybe we would like, I think that all of them are pretty memorable.
I have a theory. Like I have a note on my notes app from like probably like 3 years ago that I did, where I just went on this weird shower tangent in my head and assigned like a type of comedy to every slasher that I could think of. Like Jason I feel like symbolizes improv comedy to me. Ghostface is crowd work. Chucky is like one-liners, like Stephen Wright one-liners, and Freddy to me is the epitome of like sketch comedy. Like his murder is sketch comedy. It's like all set up. It's like self-contained. Like gets real weird with it. There's one specific game to it that you're all kind of following, trying to hit.
Yeah. Well, 4, 5, and 6 just sort of throw any semblance of a plot out the window, and kind of just become elaborate kill sequences, one right after another.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like. I like 4 and 5 more than most fans, because that's just what those movies are. It's just more creative kill sequences. Maybe not as good as like the ones that are in Dream Warriors, but that's where we get like the kid drowning in his own waterbed. And then like a girl bench presses and he breaks her arms in the bench press and then turns her into an insect and traps her in a Roach Motel and crushes her.
I've seen the Roach Motel one. I've never seen that movie, but I've just seen like the clip of that kill. And it is one of those moments where you're like, okay, so this is just what these movies are now. Is like how do we get a movie to this scene?
He turns a kid into a motorcycle. Like it's wild.
Yeah. But I think all that stuff is like pretty well calibrated here, where it's like not too silly, but it is like they're getting creative with it.
Right.
So like after Joey's in a coma, this is when we go to meet John Saxon, right? Because basically they're like, I think this is where like, yeah, Nancy and Neil get fired from their jobs at the hospital because they're like, well, you put a kid in a coma by putting him on experimental drugs. You are obviously fired. And Nancy's like, okay, the only thing left to do is go see my alcoholic dad. Because he might know where Freddy Krueger's remains are buried. And the ghost nun tells Neil that they have to bury Freddy Krueger's remains in consecrated ground, because that'll prevent him from being able to do all this demonic dream invading shit. And it like before I remembered that the nun was a ghost and not a real nun, I was like, okay, so does like the Catholic Church, they're aware of Freddy Krueger? Because like a nun knows what you have to do with the remains of Freddy Krueger. So he's like on their radar. And I was like, so like, are they, how far does this go up? Has the Pope been briefed on the Freddy Krueger problem? Is the Pope's exorcist involved?
Hello, Freddy Krueger. I am the Pope's exorcist.
You think you can invade my dream? Have you done it? You show me you are the dream master.
The real dream master is God.
I do not think you can even give this pig a nightmare.
I think we should just every horror movie would be improved with the Pope's exorcist.
Yeah,
really, just like every just 30 minutes in, he pulls up on his little Vespa to save the day.
Just fat Russell Crowe strolls into the movie, sipping an espresso, eating a biscotti. Don't worry, the Pope's exorcist is here.
I'm getting tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Have you seen the Pope's exorcist, Tony?
Nope.
You should.
You're missing out.
You should. It's not good.
That's the Russell Crowe one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, one could say it's the best movie to feature a Pope's exorcist. So.
Yeah, right. It is also like one of the highlights so far of Russell Crowe's fat schlub era. I love fat schlub Russell Crowe, and like you really can't do better than the Pope's exorcist. Like 90% of that performance is delivered sitting down.
The only thing I know about the Pope's exorcist is there was a WWE match around the time where it came out where a guy whose gimmick is like a demon, was having a cage match against another guy. And they started the match with Russell Crowe doing a pre-recorded thing on the Jumbotron, being like, the only way to smite a demon is to take him to the cage of hell or something like, and there was like Hell in a Cell. And I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? There's the crowd of a
How did we not know this?
pay-per-view event. I'm just like, no, it's like, oh, the guy from the Pope's exorcist. Oh yeah.
I love that. I want to see the Pope's exorcist. Yeah. Enter the
They were
ring.
like, we have no idea how to fucking promote this movie, guys. People aren't gonna want to see a Pope exorcist movie.
Maybe wrestling fans, they're into all kinds of trash.
No, it's a really great Venn diagram. Fans of Russell Crowe and Finn Balor.
Yeah, wrestling fans, they'll go see Russell Crowe yell at possessed people for an hour and a half. But anyway, so they go to see John Saxon in the bar. I love this scene. I already talked about how much I love that John Saxon is just like fucking 3 sheets to the wind and just being a total dirtbag.
Yeah, it's just a straight up booze hound in this.
Just a miserable sack of shit, this guy.
Hey, it's my baby girl. Hey, I see you all dead. It's like, ugh.
And then she's like, yeah, I want to talk about the serial killer that you murdered. You remember that? And he's like, this is the only thing you want to talk about. Like, he's like all pissed that it's about Freddy Krueger again. And it's like, yeah, Dad, it's about the guy you lit on fire. No, I haven't let this go. But so she's like pleading with him, and he's like, they're not getting anywhere. And so she like gives up and gets up and leaves. And then, yeah, this little like, this little twig of a doctor is like, all right, I'm going to rough up John Saxon. But ultimately it works because he's basically like, Nancy's in danger. And if you actually give a shit about her, like, you'll help me find these bones and sprinkle holy water on them or whatever. So then they go on their side quest to the salvage yard, which it's good that the movie doesn't spend more time on it, but I love the dynamic between the two of them so much, where the doctor is like, I don't know, man, I was sent on this holy quest by a ghost nun. I don't really understand this any better than you do. And John Saxon's like, all right, so when can I get the fuck out of this movie?
I'm just in this to bang your daughter. By the way, can we stop at this church so I can steal holy water and a crucifix
with the booze bottle? I love it so much because John Saxon's got like the little like the little bottle of booze. Yeah. He's got his pocket whiskey. Yeah.
And Neil leaves his collateral with the priest. He's like, oh.
Right. He's like, here's my driver's license. Yeah, I'll come back and pay for the holy water, I guess. Or it's the crucifix. Yeah. Because he also steals the crucifix off the wall. But yeah, so they go to the salvage yard, and like while all that's happening, Nancy and the kids in the mental hospital are like working on getting back into the dream so that they can rescue Joey.
They do their full thing of trying to go back in because also Kirsten's getting sedated. So like she's gonna be trapped in there, and like it shows like how much Max actually like cares. He's the one authority figure who is like kind of on their side, where like multiple times through this movie, he's like, okay, like he like relents and stuff.
Yeah. And I like that his kind of resistance to Nancy, because Nancy shows up. She's like, I want to go see Kristen. And I like that Laurence Fishburne, like he puts a lot of into this performance that could just be in this scene. He could just be like, nope, sorry. Right. But it's like, you have a good actor doing it. So he's adding levels to it. Whereas like, it seems like he like genuinely likes Nancy, but he's like also like, you're the reason that kid's in a coma, because he doesn't know any better. Right. Like he still thinks that this is like some kind of like shared delusion or whatever. So he's like, hey, like, I'm sorry about it, but also like you fucked up and I have to protect this kid. Like I have to like, the thing that's most important to me is like these kids' safety. So it's like, yeah, it adds like layers to a moment that otherwise could be pretty like, one dimensional. But eventually he is like, okay, you can't go see Kristen, but you can say bye to the other kids. And that's when they like, go back into the dream world together to save Joey. So Kristen manages to pull them all in. And they all like have their own little dream showdown with Freddy kind of in a row here. The first one is Will, the D&D kid. And I love that the beginning of his is like his wheelchair has turned into like a weird Hellraiser wheelchair. It was really, really reminding me of like the aesthetics of like the spinning totem thing from the end of the first Hellraiser movie. It's very much that, where it's just like all spikes and chains and shit.
Yeah, him getting chased by this wheelchair is very fun.
And then he becomes the wizard master, and like I don't know why in his dream he wouldn't do like a better fitting cape.
The cape is okay. So like the first time I watched this movie, I was like, okay, this is dumb, this is silly, this is an R-rated horror movie, and this moment is like so childish. And then rewatching it, I was like, no, the thing that makes it work is that his wizard powers are immediately ineffectual. His costume looks lame as shit, and he's like expeditiously murked. He's like, this is not a thing that like goes on for any amount of time. It's basically like he's like, I'm the wizard master, and Freddy Krueger's like, nope. It just
goes to my thesis of Freddy likes to scrap, because like with Taryn and with Kincaid and with Kristen, like he spars them a little bit, but as soon as like he's getting hit with magic lightning, he's like, I'm not doing the nerd shit. I'm not doing the nerd shit. I'm just gonna. And in the original one, it's just cool too. Like the first draft, they had like a shape changing battle, which I'm assuming they changed because it was like too expensive and stuff. Where like Will realizes like it's a dream, so he like Freddy transforms into some monstrous version of himself, and then he transforms into like a monster to fight him back. And then they go back and forth a little bit. And then that one ends. I wish they could, but that one ends with Freddy just getting tired of it and just getting a post hole digger and stabbing it.
That would have ruled too, but I do love what we got here, which is basically him being like, magic, and Freddy being like, sorry, bitch, you rolled a nat 1. Yeah, he just ices this kid. It's pretty awesome.
I like Taryn's scene a lot.
Probably my second favorite after Phillips.
I think the needle hands really makes it. The needle hands are such a cool image.
Yeah, and those thirsty little track marks are like super gross and really stick with you too.
And it's like, it's so sad, like the look on her face when he like changes it to the needles, and she's like, oh god, not this, like kind of thing. Like I think that actress really plays it well.
Yeah. A couple things that we haven't mentioned about Taryn that I didn't want to totally miss. The scene where they're like all finding their dream powers a little earlier. Yeah. So right, because Nancy's like, okay, we're all in the dream world. Kirsten's pulled us all in. Her power is clearly that she's able to bring other people into her dreams, and she can also do gymnastics, I guess. And then it's like, oh, Kincaid's super strong. Oh, Will can walk and is like a wizard in his dreams. And then they're like, okay, what's your dream power, Taryn? Her dream power is like leather jacket and mohawk.
2 knives and a mohawk.
And she's
dream
just
bigger,
like,
Taryn. Come on, sweetie. Like,
to be fair, it's a pretty fucking sick mohawk.
Yeah.
She looks great, but
But the other thing that I wanted to mention with Taryn is that there's also this like, and this is never linked back to any Freddy shit. This is just a thing that's happening. There's a guy who's an orderly at the mental institution who is actively trying to get Taryn hooked back on drugs, because like she's like a former addict. She's like gotten clean, and this orderly just comes up to her, and I think it's just the one scene where this is a thing. It's not like a recurring thing, but he comes up to her and is,
he has a couple of scenes. He's
Yeah.
like holding down Kirsten, trying to hold down Kirsten in her first
In the
scene,
background.
in the
Oh, yeah.
when she's like thrashing around before Nancy shows up. He actively hits on one of the order. I think it's the orderly that Joey's into.
oh yeah,
So this guy just has skeevy vibes.
right. He's just a
all over
scumbag.
him. Yeah, but he's
And
not in the
it's-
movie that much.
Right, and it's never revealed that he's like in league with Freddy, that this is Freddy. It's like, no, this is just a guy who's like, hey, I know you're a mental patient on suicide watch. Want to do some fucking like speedballs with me? And she's like, no, like I don't do drugs anymore. And he's like, oh, you'll come around. Like, I just don't get what this guy's deal is. He's like, yeah, this 16-year-old girl who's you know, in a very fragile mental state. That's where I'm going. That's
This movie needs one more authority figure to fail these kids.
Right.
To really drive that. Yeah.
But yeah, the whole needle hands kill is pretty good. I like it a lot. I like all the effects in this sequence. And I like Robert Englund playing this one like silly but not too silly. Like the let's get high line is like a little bit of a fun one-liner, but without breaking the tone too much. Yeah, it's nice. So like while this shit is happening, John Saxon and this doctor are in a salvage yard, because that's where Freddy's remains are. They drive into like the middle of the salvage yard, and they like find the remains. They have to like pry him out of like one of these old crushed cars. And yeah, so they've gotten the holy water and the crucifix. They've like dug a grave, and they're gonna put Freddy's bones in the grave, and then the bones come alive and start attacking them. And watching this last night, I was very high watching this movie last night. And watching this last night, I was like, okay, I think I was wrong about this movie. Like I think being tepid on this one was the wrong take. Like I actually think this movie rules.
My favorite part of the sequence is that at one point he bonks Neil on the head with the shovel, and it's like a clunk.
My favorite moment is at the end. After he gets Neil in the grave, he like the skeleton shovels like 2 shovelfuls of dirt on his body, and then does a little victory dance. Like he just made a winning touchdown. He does like a little like woo. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah, this is one of the weaker parts of the movie for me, but it still whips ass. I still love it.
It's so funny.
The fucking,
And,
them doing battle with this fucking Jason and the Argonauts ass skeleton for
and
no
the
reason.
skeleton impales John Saxon on one of these like wrecked cars. He just like fully like picks him up, and like scrap metal just like goes through his chest, and so it's like lights out for John Saxon. Like he is dead because he was killed by Freddy Krueger's reanimated skeleton, which it whips so much ass. It's so fun.
I also really like the set. Like the junkyard set is really cool and spooky.
Yeah, the
it's a
moment
great
when, like,
visual for this.
The moment when like all the lights start turning on, like right before the skeleton reanimates, is like super eerie and cool. Yeah.
So they find Joey, like he goes up to possess his bones in the middle of the fight. That's like what spares Kincaid, because they're in the
Right.
middle of that. And then he like goes up to possess his bones, and then so they free Joey, and then he comes back to the Hall of Mirrors, and that's where Joey finds his power.
Yeah, because they're all getting sucked into the mirror. And then, yeah, Joey, who obviously can't speak in real life, in the dream world, he's like Black Bolt from Marvel. Is that the right guy? Is that the guy who can talk and kill people? Yeah. But But yeah, he just yells no and it breaks all the mirrors. I do like the effects of them getting pulled into the mirrors because they're like funhouse mirrors. So like it's like the reflection's warped. And when they're getting pulled through the mirrors, it's like they're being pulled into a warped, distorted reflection. And it's just visually very interesting.
I like the effect of Freddy's showing off like the souls of dead children trapped on his body.
Yeah,
Those are like the
that's gnarly.
source of his strength. I think that's an awesome effect.
Yes, he
It's somewhere
literally
in
says, "The souls of children give me strength," and then like lifts up his sweater, and then yeah, there's just a bunch of little like horrible screaming Mad George faces.
It's so cool.
And then Nancy falls for the dumbest, like most obvious trick. Somehow she's like the veteran, the expert of this, and then her dad floats down in magical like After Effects light.
When I tell you I was laughing my fucking ass off when Angel John Saxon showed up at the end of this movie, because like so many other things, I had sort of like forgotten this moment. Like if someone had told me, oh yeah, you remember when John Saxon's kind of like shows up at all angelic at the end of Nightmare 3, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember. But like seeing it, I was like, I don't think I fully processed this the first time. Yes, because it's like, yeah, it looks like shit. And it's like touched by an angel ass shit. And then Nancy's like, "Daddy?" And it's like, "No, you fucking idiot." you're in a dream world where a child predator has unlimited power to make you see anything. Like it's so wild that she falls for it and is just like, "Oh, come on, give me a big hug." And then it's like, "Yeah, of course you're going to Knife City." Like, what do you think was gonna happen? It's awesome. It rules.
I like that she gets him with his own glove after that too. Like her knife wound looks pretty brutal. Like she sells it pretty good too. And then she yanks his own hand out of her and stabs himself with it. I think her death scene after that, I think rocks. But like, yeah. That bit is a lot.
Yeah, I think her appearance in this movie and her death in this movie and the kind of emotional payoff is pretty well earned, but the John Saxon angel bit is a hair too far, I think.
It's just so silly.
Yeah.
It does sort of cross the line from being like, oh, this is kind of like fun and silly and campy, but it still matches the tone of the rest of the movie. It like goes a little too far to where you're like, all right. Yeah.
As she does this, Neil gets the upper hand on Freddy's skeleton and purifies it with the holy water. And that's what kills him. And I love how you start seeing these like burns on Freddy's body from like the holy water being splashed on his skeleton that appears in the dream world, and then the cross
on his forehead,
appearing on his forehead. It's really cool. Really cool effect.
Although to Tony's point, like I don't necessarily know that I love, because in the first two movies, it was like Freddy Krueger like haunts the nightmares of the Elm Street children, right? And then this movie turning it into an explicit like Freddy lives in hell and works for the devil, like the devil is his boss, and he is like a sworn enemies of the Christian God, is like a thing that I don't think I necessarily need in Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I think the introduction of all like the religious stuff in this one is sort of like it's a thing where I'm like, I kind of think this was the wrong choice for the franchise. It's better that he's just kind of like an amorphous dream demon, right? Instead of him being like, no, it's like, you've read Dante's Inferno, like that's where Freddy Krueger lives.
Well, did you have you heard about the fan theory that he's like a rogue Cenobite?
What are you talking about?
I think I read that somewhere. I don't think I read that like a cracked article or something.
Yeah, I think it's like one of the later movies, or maybe even New Nightmare, where he's more explicitly like a demon. Because that movie's going all meta. But there are some people who are like, Freddy's kind of like a Cenobite. He sort of seems like a Cenobite that broke off of Pinhead's little group. Which like Hellraiser and this both deal with kind of hallucinations and dream sequences for a lot of the kills. So that could be a fun crossover. I don't know. It sort of makes sense.
I would have liked it if when Joey gets tongue-tied to the mattress and the portal to hell opens up, if it was just that like floating obelisk thing from Hellraiser 2. It's like, oh, that guy's back. the little floating diamond in the sky. That's like the god of pain or whatever. I do think, yeah, I hadn't heard that theory, but like it makes a lot of sense that Freddy Krueger would hang with the Cenobites. Both of them are kind of like, yeah, they like to like play with their food a little bit. Both of them are supernatural entities that can basically like wield total control of a parallel dimension. It makes sense. Yeah.
Freddy's a little bit too much of a scamp though for the Cenobites.
I
The
do
Cenobites
think,
are pretty like self-serious.
yeah,
They're
I do
really
think
committed to it.
Pinhead would be pretty annoyed by his antics.
Yeah.
Pinhead would be like, I'm the one who does the talking around here.
Your red sweater clashes with the dress code. You need more chains and leather. Didn't you get the memo, Fred?
Lose the hat. It makes you look like a real loser.
thing.
We're S&M demons, but we're not misogynists. That's outdated language. Freddy, you can't call Jason the F slur. Times have changed, my man.
You need to talk to Butterball in HR about diversity training.
Oh man, Butterball in HR. I love that guy.
Last bit of comparison with the first draft that I read, so it's interesting. The ending is very different in the first one, where the two big differences are once Nancy dies, after that, and after Freddy's been smited, which he kind of gets cursed in a different way. The religious stuff is not as clear. Kristen uses her dream powers to go back into like Freddy's house into the time when he was born and gives him like the time travel Hitler treatment.
What?
Where he kills baby Freddy in like his in the dream world. Yeah. After Nancy dies, she's like, I'm ending this for good, and uses like the power of his house to like go back to his
This
original.
is the home of
like,
Amanda
birth.
Kruger.
Yeah.
I actually am a little sad that didn't make it into the final
But
movie.
then from there also, because there's this romantic subplot between Nancy and Neil, so it's implied that she puts Nancy's consciousness into the dream world, specifically into Neil's dreams, because they have like a last little scene where Kristen and Neil are talking, and he's like, well, guess you're heading home. I have my own little date tonight. And she's like, oh, you still see her every night? And she's like, that's right, you know. So like basically like she put him into this weird like eternal dream sex prison in Neil's head, where he gets to like dream her up, and it's at Nancy's consciousness where they just get the fuck every night in his dreams.
I can just imagine him like trying to move on and like get like an actual living girlfriend, and then every night he goes to sleep and just like has arguments with Nancy about it, being like, babe, I'm trying to move on. Like, I need someone who can be there for me, like, while I'm awake. Yeah.
It's a lot of laundry you're doing. Waking up in the morning after another night with your sex dream girlfriend.
Another
whatever.
wet dream.
Yeah. The sheets must be stiff as a board.
Neil is dating another woman. He's like, sorry, you can't stay over. I have a sleep disorder.
I'm busy.
If you happen to hear me screaming the name Nancy Thompson in my sleep, just don't worry about it.
It's like Johnny Depp's death scene from the first one, where he gets pulled into the bed and instead of blood, the geyser of cum coming out.
Yeah, and much like in the first movie, yeah, somebody's going up to clean that room, and it's like, oh, you're gonna need a mop. It's like pooling on the ceiling, like.
All right, let's get to the end of this fucking movie. They defeat Freddy. Nancy's dead.
Yeah.
They have a funeral. They discover that ghost nun was a ghost and is Freddy's mom.
It's very stupid, and I like it.
And then he that night, the little paper mache house that Kristen made lights up, and it implies that Freddy's still alive because he tends to withstand at the end of his movies. He tends to
Yeah.
live to see the sequel.
Turns out it's
Although
hard
apparently
to
not for a few years now
yeah,
after the remake.
hard to kill a guy who like doesn't have like a corporeal existence. Like, yeah.
Especially when
This
they
is why
keep
you need the Pope's
changing-
exorcist.
Yeah. Well, especially because they keep changing the rules for his character every movie.
Yeah, I sort of do like that about Freddy, where it's like it's really easy to kind of yada yada him out of any fate that seems to befall him, because it's like, I don't know, man, he's like a fucking demon that lives in your dreams. He doesn't like have rules. Like,
Yeah.
You can come
yeah.
up with any weakness you want and also any excuse for resurrection.
right? It's like, yeah, if you consecrate his bones, like that'll stop him, maybe, but like it doesn't have to.
I think my wife has entered the room to make sure that I wrap it up.
Wait, I promise we are almost done. But yeah, then the Dawkins song plays, and another thing that I kind of was like mid on the first time I watched it, and then this time I was like, oh no, never mind, this song fucking whips ass.
Get on that
Yeah.
dream, warriors. Don't want to dream no more.
Yeah, I'm not a Dawkins fan, but the song whips, I cannot lie.
It
So-
it kicks ass.
And it's like a perfect end credit song for this movie. Which the rest of the series tries to recapture that magic by having licensed music at the end. Licensed original music, but it never gets as good as this.
You mean
There's like a Freddy rap at one point.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't like the Fat Boy song as much as you like this. That's Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors. Tony, we should let you get out of here and get back to your family. So we'll ask you: is Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, the greatest movie ever made?
Guys, I was a little nervous when you told me they were like the theme was threequels this year, because I was like, gosh, like I don't know if there's one that I really am that passionate about. And like I this one came to mind. Like I remember liking it. Like, okay, I can talk about this one for a little bit. But then going back and revisiting it, like I really found new layers to how much I enjoy this. Like all the stuff that the performances of the themes of like kids helping each other out because authority figures let them down. Like it all really hit me this time. And just that general vibe, like I was talking about at the beginning of like, you're freaking 13 years old, like your parents are asleep, your brother has rented this movie, like you get a bag of Doritos and a 2-liter of Mountain Dew and you sneak into the family room. And like, it's just like, it's such a perfect vibe of like, oh my gosh, I'm all alone. I know this could never happen, but I'm still gonna like have trouble going to sleep tonight kind of like energy that like really is like the reason that we like horror, right? That's the reason that the things like get us into horror. And just that little like crackle of electricity it gives me, like thinking about this is why I gotta say this is the greatest movie ever made, guys.
Hell yeah. David, I'm going to ask you because I feel like I'm more the wild card with this movie, although maybe less, but we'll see. David, is Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors the greatest movie ever made?
Justus, Tony, thanks so much for hanging out with us again and picking my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie. One of my favorite slasher movies of all time. It got even better for me on this watch. I think this is just the perfect encapsulation of everything that I like about this franchise. It's everything that you want from a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, which is great dream sequences, great kills, fun characters that you can root for and also be happy to see get killed. Characterization of Freddy, it's scary and it's fun in all the right amounts. It's perfectly balanced. However, I'm gonna say it's not the greatest movie ever made.
Oh damn!
For one reason, not enough Larry Fishburne.
All right,
The greatest,
you're not wrong.
The greatest movie ever made would have more Laurence Fishburne in it. Just saying. So it's a slight no, but it's a no all the same. But
Yeah,
great
he is
fucking movie, and I love the shit out of it.
Underutilized. Yeah.
There's other flaws with it too, but really what it boils down to is I want to see more Laurence Fishburne in this movie. Justus is
David.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, the greatest movie ever made.
David. So Yeah, first time I watched this movie, like I said before, like I was really like medium on it. I was like, yeah, there's some fun stuff there. It gets a little silly for me, whatever, you know. Going back to it, I was like, I was wrong about Dream Warriors. Like I looked at my initial rating on Letterboxd, which was 3 stars, and I was like, that's just not correct. Like that's not how I feel at all anymore. So I was happy to go back to this and like reevaluate it. I think Tony, what you were saying about how like, yeah, this movie kind of is a great encapsulation of like why we love horror movies. And I think like the thing that stuck out to me so much on this watch is this movie is entertaining as shit. Like it's 90 minutes long and it like flies by. Like it's very well paced. You feel like you're like in and you're out and you're just like having a blast the entire time. Which it's like, I think slasher movies are at their best. Some of the movies that are that work the best is just like dopamine delivery systems, right? Where it's just like, yeah, this is just a thing that you can put on and just feel awesome, and you're in and you're out, you know. And it just like it's like a little pick me up. It just it makes your day better to like watch slashers at their best, right? And I feel like that's totally what this movie does. Like it's so much more entertaining than I gave it credit for the first time. And I think in terms of horror sequels, it is one of the best ones. I would agree with what David said. So yeah, this time I like had very few gripes with it. And even the moments that I thought were like kind of dumb, like all the Freddy backstory stuff and the ghost nun, I was like, it's dumb in a way that's sort of endearing to me. Like I don't really like it as a narrative choice, but it is also making me smile and laugh that this is in the movie. So even its sins were pretty forgivable to me this time. And like, I'm going to go ahead and say that Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors is the greatest movie ever made. So I think this is flip-flopped between David and I from what I expected.
Holy
but
shit,
it's like,
I thought I was absolutely going to be the only one to say that this time.
no, I was really feeling it on this watch. It is crazy how much this movie improved for me watching it again.
I'm glad you came back around on this one because this was a point of contention for us at one point.
It was where I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like Dream Warriors is the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And now I'm like, okay, that's actually a position that I can get behind. I still maybe like the first one more because I think that the first one is so effectively like scary and eerie in a way that this one isn't. But yeah, but I feel like I think that's respectable. Watch this again as watch the first one again. So
just know that I am a yes in spirit with you guys, but
but not a yes on the spreadsheet.
No, not on the spreadsheet.
You're the ghost of a yes that disappears at her gravesite.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you guys for having me again.
Mirror what David said. It's always a delight having you on. That's why we keep asking you back. And assuming that this podcast is still going and that you're not sick of talking to us, we'll definitely pencil you in for Horathon 4.
I will go log off and then go to my 364 days of sitting in a quiet, dark room until I talk to you.
Sorry, we only talk to you once a year. David, what are we talking about next week?
Next week, we're talking about The Exorcist 3. I'm not going to beat around the bush. We're just talking about Exorcist 3.
Yeah.
This was my pick. I'm very excited to talk about this movie.
Tony was doing the big scissors. We'll be talking about those big scissors.
You gotta do the big scissors.
Yeah, another horror movie set in a hospital, primarily.
So tune in for that. Thanks to ET for our social media and research. Thank you guys for listening so much, and remember to spread the word about the show to your friends and leave us a review. And till next week. Tony, you want to do the sign off with us?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. As always,
later dipshits. I'll try and line that up better, unless we want to take it again.
I think it was fun that way. I think
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horathon.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Greatest Movie Ever Made. Please remember to leave us a rating and a review, and to subscribe to the show wherever you listen. We appreciate you supporting the show and spreading the word. Tell your friends to listen, tell your enemies to listen, tell your mom to listen. If your neighbor has an unsecured Bluetooth speaker, connect to it and play an episode. You can follow us on social media at TGMEM_podcast, and if you've got a movie that you want us to talk about, send us an email at thegreatestmoviepodcast@gmail.com. Okay, that's all for now. We hope you beautiful people all come back next week for another episode.